No one cares what you've done in the past. They don't care what you did last year or 5 years ago. You know, they hired me to do a job here, and I'm going to go in there and do it like you've always seen me do for a long time.
We're going to have our ass ready to go to New Orleans. They're allowed to pump in noise now this year. So you know what that's going to be like in New Orleans. Just like if they had their fans. Is the guy in the mirror doing what it takes? Loyalty. Faithful adherence to a cause. It's the cause. The world championship. Honest to God, I looked out to today. I've been in this league 27 years. I've never seen so much talent on the field.
A pirate's life for me.
You're now in the Sports Web, a sports talk show for the hardcore fan. Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of the evolution of Sports Talk Television here nightly on Bucs Report. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. And as we always start off the Sports Web on this Wednesday night, just 4 days away from Bucs versus Saints. I know you guys are pumped up out there. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we will have former Bucs corner, Buccaneer legend himself, Mr. Ricky Reynolds, on, getting you ready for Bucs versus Saints, talking all things Buccaneers, whatever you want to talk about, because we'll take your questions tonight. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. At 9:40, we'll have TJ Pittenger. After that, we will have Blake Ruffino at 10 o'clock, and then your phone calls, and most likely we'll have Rick Hughes, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, and whoever else we want to get on. So once again, we are 1 day away from the start of the NFL football season and 4 days away from Bucs versus Saints. Of course, this night, and this show is always brought to you by MyCannabisCard.com, the nation's first and largest cannabis card doctor network and home of the guaranteed fast-track cannabis card approval with over 2,500 state licensed doctors and 30-plus qualifying conditions. MyCannabisCard.com is by far the easiest and most effective way to secure your cannabis as stress-free as possible from the comforts of your own home. Again, that's MyCannabisCard.com. Tell them Peter Blake, the Sports Web, and Bucs Report sent you. And then another new sponsor that we like to shout out, that would be 320 Solar. Of course, get on the 320 Solar phone lines tonight. Finally, say goodbye to your electric bill and go solar for zero out of pocket with 320 Solar. Current promotion, sign zero out of pocket solar for 320solar.com and have no payments until 2022. Once again, that's 320solar.com. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So many things to talk about tonight. Mr. Ricky Reynolds, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing wonderful. How you doing? How you doing, Peter?
I'm doing great. We got 4 days to go until we have Bucs versus Saints, and let's just start it out. Are you surprised that the Bucs decided to cut Matt Gay and go with the Ryan Suckup?
No, not at all. I'm not surprised. I mean, look at the history of what they've done, with these kickers, over the past several years, and not surprised that they shipped out another one and brought somebody else in. They've just had inconsistencies throughout the years, and they're just looking for somebody that can be consistent week in and week out, that can, make the ones, especially the gimmies, the ones that you're supposed to make. And, they're at it again, trying to get somebody in here that can, be consistent week in and week out.
Yeah, and it looks like they found that guy in a Suckup who, he can make those 30 and 40-yard field goals. They also released, they went for a Leonard Fournette. Of course, we talked about that. That was the breaking news last Wednesday. And he said, I've never played with a quarterback like Tom Brady. I never had a quarterback like a Tom Brady. And, some people in the chat room I was talking to about this, they feel like that it was kind of disrespectful to a Blake Bortles and a Nick Foles, but he's kind of telling the truth. But you played in the league before. Do you like players that come out and talk, or is that kind of disrespectful? Was Fournette being disrespectful with his comments?
I don't think so. I think he was, being real, just talking about, how he really truly feels. And he's with a guy that's a true professional. Guy's been around, this league forever. I mean, he walks the walk, talks the talk. He backs it up. He has 6 rings to prove it. So he's in awe, like all of us are around Tom Brady. That this guy is the real deal, and he gets to see it every day. So, I think he's just speaking from the heart.
Yeah, no, I think he's definitely speaking from the heart. So I just wanted to get your opinion on that because, there were people are saying, oh, that's kind of disrespectful by Fournette, and that's kind of how he is. But I was thinking the same thing. He's just talking about how excited he is to play for a Tom Brady. Now, Coach Arians talked about working him into the game plan. How many carries could you expect him? Do you think that the Bucs will give him against the Saints on Sunday?
I think, it just depends on, how much of the game plan he's able to digest. I'm sure they have some set plays for him that, he'll be able to go in there and run, simply. So, I mean, I can see him, maybe getting a little under 10 carries, maybe, I mean, between that and maybe some catching a few balls out of the backfield, you have to be able to work him in, uh, into the offense, into, what they're doing. And they want to be careful with that. They don't want to leave Tom, on the island, if he picks up, goes the wrong way in a blocking scheme or something like that, and leaves Tom wide open for a big hit or anything. So you have to be real careful with him back there, protecting, Tom Brady, on the backside or something. So, they're gonna pick and choose when they want to get him in there and get him in the football a little bit.
Absolutely. And we're on with Bucs legend, Mr. Ricky Reynolds, former Bucs corner, Pat's Corner here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Don't be shy. Of course, this segment, once again, brought to you by 320solar.com. Get on the 320 Solar hotline, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. We'll go out to the web heads here in a moment. Lots of text messages, as you would expect. Now, the big news today, also Mike Evans missing practice. It could be a hamstring injury that's kind of followed him. How concerned do you think the Bucs are going against the Saints on Sunday without Evans?
Well, I'm sure they're concerned, probably more so for Mike Evans himself, because they need to have this guy, during the course of the season. And so they're going to be smart and try to get him healthy, because it's one game, even though it is a division game, it's one game. They do have plenty of weapons over there on the offensive side. Although he is a big part of it, they want to make sure that he's safe and that he's healthy for the long haul of the season, because it is a long season. And if he missed one game or even two, it'll be okay, because we need to have this guy healthy for the main part of the season.
So you think there's a possibility, Ricky, that if it is more serious than they're leading on, that they could, basically bench him and then run with guys like a Scotty Miller, possibly a Justin Watson, because you don't want it to become a lingering thing. And if you remember last year, it ended his season. So you think that's certainly a possibility?
Oh yes, it's definitely a possibility.
Okay.
You don't want Mike Evans to be injured, and you don't want him carrying this out throughout the the course of the year. So they have to be smart with him. They have to gauge where he is, and you want him to be 100% going into it, because if he goes out there and strains it again, now instead of 1 week, now he's out another 2-3 weeks or so, and so they have to be smart, and you want this guy 100% when he steps on the field for the first time during the course of this year.
All right, I tell you what, let's go out to the phone lines here. Welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. You're on with yours truly, along with the Buccaneer legend, Mr. Ricky Reynolds, on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, Mr. Johnny Dean.
How's it going, guys?
It's going good, bud. How you doing?
Good.
All right. Hey, Ricky, I've got I've been trying to sort out who I would start, who I wouldn't start, and who I'd have in rotation. And our secondary looks so strong. I'm having a hard time with it. So, could you give us your opinion on how you would start the secondary out there?
Start the Buccaneer secondary. Well, I mean, it really depends on what your opponent is doing. I mean, do I have to have a nickel set in there, or do I just go in there with the 4 defensive backs? And I'll probably go with who they're planning to go with, and probably Jamil Dean. Dean will probably be the guy that'll probably be coming off the bench if it's not a nickel situation. And Sean Murphy Bunning will be the guy that'll probably be starting in place of him. And Antoine Winfield will be the other guy starting at the safety along with Whitehead. And, so Carlton Davis. Those will probably be my guys starting out there in the secondary. And Jamil Dean will be coming out in nickel situations. But yeah, I think there's a solid group, and I think those guys will play well.
How nervous do you think Winfield Jr. is going to be going against a Hall of Famer like Drew Brees?
He'll be nervous, but I think this guy, with his dad, being a former NFL player, has prepped him. I think he has a mental mindset that he's been around for a while, so I think he'll be okay. He'll have some nerves a little bit, especially since he didn't have any preseason games. If he played a little bit in the preseason, that kind of helps to get you into the flow. But this is actually his first time taking a snap against other NFL talented players, and so he's going to be pretty hyped. He'll be very nervous, and he's one that they'll probably go after. They want to see where he's at, mentally and physically, if he can handle the pressure, and so he has to be ready to go.
What else, Johnny Dean?
One more question. Do you think that the Bucs will face a quarter package anytime this year?
Will they face who?
What was the question now, Johnny Dean?
Does he think they'll face a quarter package at any time?
A quarter package?
Yeah, just all out, bring everybody they got in the backfield to cover.
So basically, dropping back as many people as possible, as many defensive backs as possible. That's what he's trying to say.
Basically, I'm just making a joke about the weapons we have.
You talking about our offense if they're going to face something like that? Yeah, we do have a lot of weapons, and there'll be times where defenses will drop 8 guys and only rush 3. There will be times like that, but you definitely want to get pressure on Brady to make him get rid of the ball, because you don't want him holding the ball, because he's gonna find somebody that's open. So it's going to be a lot of different types of mixed coverages out there with Tom Brady. You're going to be trying to fool them a little bit, but he's seen it all. And these guys are going to try to do some things to try to put pressure on him to make him get rid of the ball early, so that his receivers don't get open. All
right, good stuff, Johnny Dean. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, bud. Talk to y'all later.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. There you go. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Buccaneer legend, Mr. Ricky Reynolds. We got a little surprise for you tonight, Ricky. You've seen the hype video. We kind of went back into the past a little bit, so we got to play this before you get off the air of your shining highlights in a Buccaneer uniform. So we'll get to that. Josh Rosen, that's been the other story here. The Bucs pick him up as a practice squad player. Tell you what, we'll get back to that in a moment. Let's go out to the phone lines. Welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with Buccaneer legend, Mr. Ricky Reynolds. What's on your mind?
What's going on? This is Frank with 320. You guys are doing a great job. What's going on, Ricky?
Hey, Frank. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How you doing, Frank?
Good. Hey, so what are we talking about as far as the Saints Bucs? Is this going to really affect us on the Mike Evans possible injury?
I'm kind of concerned about it because, again, he has a history of this. Ricky, I mean, you even talked about this. He has a history of it. There's a possibility that if it's far more serious than the Bucs are letting on, and of course they're not going to let on that it's more serious than it is. If it is far more serious, I could see them possibly benching him for one game so it doesn't get out of control, because it can be a lingering injury. And we know that Evans, his year ended last year with a hamstring injury. So there has to be some type of worry there, Frank. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's best for the long term if that's the case. But what do you think it does to our chances of winning? Does it hinder us from winning, or do we still have the same type of possibility to get that game?
I mean, Ricky, it's tough to win without a top 5, top 3 wide receiver. There was a guy the other night, a Webhead, that came on here and said, I don't even believe Mike Evans is a top 5 wide receiver. That's preposterous. So, it's definitely becomes a little bit tougher. But once again, the Bucs seem like they have the depth, especially at those skill positions on the outside.
Yeah, it definitely makes it a little tougher because it takes away a big time weapon, in that Buccaneer offense. And now, if Mike Evans is not playing, now you can put Lattimore on on Chris Godwin, the whole game and make it tough on him, or you can double him, and and that kind of takes out some of their weapons. Although you do have those tight ends, I'm expecting some big games at OJ Howard, and Rob Gronkowski to step up and to make some plays in that area, because if Mike Evans doesn't play, I think you go to those guys, because they have that wealth of experience and they're playmakers, so you have to spread the wealth around and try to figure other ways to win football games. As long as, the defense plays well, which I expect, it's a division game, and usually division games are pretty tight, and I expect a tight game and probably come down to what they do in the fourth quarter.
What else, Frank?
Yeah, and do you guys see the run pass balance? What are you guys seeing that be? Even if Evans is in there, do you expect us to run more with the addition of Fournette, or what do you guys see there? Let's see what Ricky thinks about that.
Yeah, I want to see what Ricky thinks, because you know what I think. I'm a guy that says victim of volume, but you have to have a running game in order to have that balance. You take that pressure off of Tom Brady, right, Ricky?
Yeah, I think going into it that they definitely want to be a balanced offense, and they're going to try to run the ball. They're going to definitely try to run it because it sets up the pass. It makes passing so much easier when you can run the ball, and then when you get in the second half, if you can run that ball and can control the clock, you can dominate. And that's what this team wants to do. They want to be able to run the ball, because running the ball keeps your opponent's defense off balance. You can, like you say, you control the clock, you control the tempo of the football game. And I think they're going to come out and try to establish that run and eventually get into the passing game. They're going to do that, obviously, but they want to run football and see what they have there.
Frank, what else?
And what do you guys say? Who do you think has the better year? Tom Brady's new team or his old team?
Well, I'll go with that one. But I think Tom Brady's new team will have a better year. I think the Patriots are kind of reloading. They have their defenses still have some players over there, but offensively they're trying to find themselves. We don't know what Cam Newton is going to do, how healthy he is or how he's going to fit into the offensive scheme. But I think I would bet the Buccaneers would outperform the Patriots this season.
Yeah, I agree with you
on that.
I absolutely agree with you. I think it's a new offense for both quarterbacks. For me, I'm still not sure if Newton is healthy going forward. And, Miami's going to be a tough matchup because Miami beat them last year. I think it was one of the last games of the year. So a lot of people saying, Fitzpatrick starting in that game, that's nothing. The Patriots should win it. Don't be so sure that Miami may not necessarily. They may pull off an upset there. Good stuff, Frank. Thanks a lot for calling. And once again, 320solar.com. What do you got going on over there?
Yeah, if anyone signs up for solar by the end of this month or before, you won't have any payments till 2022. What does that mean? Not only do you save money, but you have no electric bill by going solar. So if you guys want to give your electric company the good news that you went solar, give us a call at 833-77-SOLAR or 320solar.com. Appreciate you guys. Great show. We love you guys.
I love you too, man. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you. There you go. Thanks a lot for calling the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Open phone line, 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. I think Ricky's a hockey fan. It's tied right now, as you can see in back of me, between Tampa Bay and the Islanders going into the second period there, 1-1. So we'll keep you abreast of that situation. Going back to Josh Rosen, 3-13 career record, but number 10 overall pick. A lot of people's eyebrows kind of came up on that and said, you know what, that's a pretty shrewd move by Bruce Arians and Jason Licht, getting a former first-round pick, putting him on the practice squad. How do you feel about the move? And do you feel like he can develop into this future quarterback? Maybe not, of course, not this year. Not going to want to have an injury to Brady, not this year or the year after, but maybe a couple years down the road, he can develop into a future starter for this team. What do you think?
Well, I think they had a little insight with Byron Leftwich, since he was able to coach him. He knows them pretty well. And I think that they believe that they can make him into something. And why not take a chance? You know, here's a guy that was like I said, top 10 pick. You know, you have the opportunity to grab him. He's young. And you can just sit him on the practice squad and let him develop, you know, and train him and bring him up and see where this thing goes. Brady's, you know, signed a 2-year deal. So, you know, you got a couple of years to try to bring him along and see what happens. Why not?
All right, good stuff. I tell you what, give me a prediction for the Saints-Bucs game, and then we're going to go out to this surprise for you here.
Prediction. Oh, boy. All right, well, I'm going to say the Bucs are going to win, and I'm going to say it's going to be 28-24 Tampa Bay.
28-24 Tampa Bay. All right, I'm going to put you in the lobby here, and we're going to watch this great highlight reel of Mr. Ricky Reynolds himself in a Tampa Bay Buccaneer uniform. And when I come back, I'm going to ask you about the white shoes, the black shoes, and those orange pants, all right? Stand by. All right, here we go. So we're going to play this highlight video here in care of Liam Mitchell on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Enjoy.
And we'll come back and show that in just a second. On first down, this is Hebert looking for Mo Hill. And it's wrestled away by Ricky Reynolds. So Ricky Reynolds gives Tampa Bay a momentum booster as he wrestles the pass away from Mo Hill.
Play action. Montana overthrows Rathman, and let's see if it was ruled incomplete. It was an interception, but they're going to bring it back to the 30. Ricky Reynolds. Montana nearly intercepted, and it is intercepted on the deflection. Mark Robinson made the hit, and Reynolds has his second interception of the game for Tampa Bay. New life for the Buccaneers.
Montana's trying to hit Rice on a curl pattern down the field. The Bucs are in zone coverage. Mark Robinson gets a great read, and he really should have intercepted it. The ball bounces off his shoulder pads, and there is Mr. Ricky Reynolds, the guy that's...
Flags on a play as the ball is intercepted. Got a clear path. Ricky Reynolds takes it into the end zone, but there is a flag on a play back at the 43-yard line.
We have an illegal formation foul. 6 men on the line on the offense. That penalty is declined. We have a personal foul, unnecessary roughness on the defense after the touchdown. The touchdown is good.
So the 68-yard interception return for a touchdown by Ricky Reynolds stands.
For Rippon was short first, then deep, and Viner came open for the first down. He had to stay within his lead.
Drop. Picked up by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Ricky Reynolds with his white shoes. No flags down, touchdown, his second in as many weeks.
Well, if Ricky Reynolds thought that the black shoes were bringing him luck, that's been dispelled now as the white shoes, as you said, have certainly come through. From the outside, Ricky Reynolds blocked the punt, scoops up his own block, and now picks up a caravan of 1, 2, 3, 4 Tampa Bay Buccaneers as they escort him down for the touchdown.
Last week,
Second down. Picked off. Ricky Reynolds with the interception. His 4th of the year.
That's a long throw into the wind. He's on the left side.
pretty in the middle of the field a little bit, throwing to his right. Way over here on the outside, Reynolds anticipates the throw, looking at the quarterback, didn't have much on it.
Goes in motion. Brisker going for the bundle, looking for left. Knocked away and intercepted by Ricky Reynolds. Reynolds with the interception to the 40-yard line. The play that Reynolds just made shows you the concentration on defense and the patience, Joel. What happens with Reynolds, number 29? Watch this. He waits until the last second to go up for the football, and then he doesn't wait for the ball to come down. He goes up to get it. Watch this. He goes up over top of Lewis Lips. Total concentration on the ball. Makes the interception. Tampa Bay has the ball. Now, Lips is beyond. He's going to be beyond Reynolds here. But watch what Reynolds does. He goes back in the picture, and the timing is perfect. Up over top. Here's the interception.
Steelers not really looking underneath all that often, going more downfield, away from what we normally see.
Play action. Aikman going up top. And it's complete. Intercepted. Reynolds. I believe they're going to call him down by contact at the point of the interception, way back about the 7.5 yard line.
5'7". Well, on 3rd and 2, extra blockers in, and they give a big hole to Higgs, who breaks loose. Fumble. Buccaneers have it at the 47-yard line of the Miami Dolphins. What irony. Higgs' first big play of the game, and he coughs it up, getting the start because of fumble problems by Sammy Smith. Murphy came up with a loose ball.
Unfortunately for the Miami Dolphins, it was a great effort. Here he's hitting the hole and breaks off of tacklers and breaks free. Now he's in a sprint. Now all he wants to do is gain as much yardage as he can, but here comes Ricky Reynolds making a smart play on the ball. Again, the ball towards the defender, not away from it. Slapped it out of his hand, forcing the fumble. No, he did turn it away. It's in his left hand, away from the defender. But Reynolds just makes an outstanding play.
Cornerback Ricky Reynolds, number 29, proved last year that he is still capable of short-circuiting quarterback-receiver connection.
Properly. Last week was a good start. Makowski drops deep, lays it over for Sidney. Fell, and now it's knocked down at the 17. And lost it. And a touchdown. Ricky Reynolds.
Number 1 in the division. Fire gets it loose and Sharp can't get it. It's intercepted by Ricky Reynolds.
One of the most valuable players on the Bucs defense, and definitely its most consistent, is cornerback Ricky Reynolds. Number 29 put together a sensational season with 2 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and an NFL best 24 passes defense. In 93, Reynolds will be joined in the defensive backfield.
Talent that he has at Tampa Bay, with the emphasis on creating havoc.
3rd and 8. Costello trying to escape, does not. Hanging on for dear life, Ricky Reynolds, who picks up his first sack of the season. So Ricky Reynolds hanging in there, wasn't about to let that cowboy go.
Hey, speaking of Floyd Peters and his defenses, it keeps Jeff Hostetler on his heels. What they did on this play, take a look here, is you drop the tackles out of the screen. The defensive tackles drop out. That takes Jeff Hostetler's first read off, and you get the guy on the blitz from the outside with the cornerback. Great.
All right, welcome back to the Evolution on Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. I forgot about some of those plays. Did you?
Of course, not at all. Yeah, that was quite a little show there. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you intercepted Montana, Aikman, and Favre. How many players can say that in NFL history?
Oh yeah, I've made quite a few plays on a lot of those different great quarterbacks there, and one is Joe Montana. I think I'm the only player to ever intercept him twice in a game.
Yeah.
So that was that was one that I always remember.
Now, the white shoes, the black shoes, and of course Terry Bradshaw's in the booth for some reason. He's talking about this. What was that all about? You had superstition of wearing white and black shoes. Go ahead and tell us about that.
Well, back in those times, and they probably still do the same thing. They have these uniform codes where if the team wears white shoes, everybody wears white. If you wear black, you wear black. But I was being a little rebel. At times I would wear, I think we wore white shoes most of the time, and I would wear black, just to be a little different. But I found some shoes, soccer style shoes that I really liked, and they were black. I would use them in practice, and eventually said, I'm gonna wear these in the game, And so I wore them and made some big plays. I think I scored a 68-yard touchdown against the Lions wearing those shoes, and then. Eventually, the NFL sent me a letter and said, "Hey, if you wear those shoes again, we're going to fine you." So I don't like losing my money. So I put the white ones back on, and that's when they said, "Well, now he has the white shoes on." And I blocked the punt there and picked it up and ran it in for a touchdown there. So just showing everybody I can do it either way.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Again, you have the special teams play against the Redskins. And then the orange pants. Do you want the Bucs to bring that back? Did you like the orange pants? A lot of people like that creamsicle, but creamsicle pants. Bring those back or what?
Yeah, no, you can keep the creamsicle pants. I like the all white. The all white, is nice.
Right.
But that was, I think, Sam Weish's doing back at them times where they had all the creamsicle pants, and that was a bit much, a little bit too much creamsicle.
A little bit. He must have been confused because, of course, he coached the Cincinnati Bengals, and they also had some orange. But that year, I'm pretty sure you guys got out to a hot start. It was like 3-1 or something, beating the Lions on the road and shutting down Barry Sanders.
Yeah. We would start off kind of fast sometimes. I think a lot of times is because we were in pretty good shape. We'd have tough training camps. And we would, and it was hot, hot in Florida. So we would start off pretty quickly and get an edge, but we would end up burning out because, I think we would have a lot more injuries and things of that nature just because of the strenuous work that we did during the course of training camp and how hot it is. That's why you see the Bucs now, they work out inside to kind of keep themselves, from draining out because that heat drains you, So they would work us, man, and by the middle part of the season, your body's worn out already.
Not a big fan of Ray Perkins in those 3 days, right?
Oh no, not at all. I mean the game was a vacation. I mean, seriously, it was. I mean, we would beat each other up in practice all week long, and right. I'd come home and soak my feet in the ice tub. And then, like I said, game time is like, ooh, this is easy.
Difference between Ray Perkins and Sam Weish?
Well, this is a big difference. Ray Perkins is a guy that's direct. He's going to tell you how he feels. And he's no bull jiving. You know where you stand. And he's just going to bring it. Sam Weish wants everybody to feel good. He's going to fluff it up a little bit. Hey, it's okay. You're doing good. Da, da, da. Next day, you're cut. So you don't know what you're going to get, with Sam Weish sometimes. But Ray Perkins, he going to tell you, if you stink, he going to tell you stink. Sam Weish is going to say, it's okay. You're doing okay. Just keep working,
What about playing with Mark Robinson in the secondary?
Mark and Harry, both of those guys, they played together at Penn State, and they were great. I mean, those guys were the ultimate pros. I mean, working with them, you sit down, you communicate, you talk things out, and we always seem to be on the same page, with one another. And we made a lot of plays, with those guys. Harry made a lot of interceptions, Mark made plays, and myself. So we had a pretty decent secondary at that time. But when you're losing, it just seems to change over, constantly, and that's what was going on there.
One last question, and I'll get you out of here. Barry Sanders, we talked about it. How difficult is he to tackle? Because, 1 minute he's losing 6 yards, and the next he's going 66.
Yeah, I'd say he is the best running back that I've ever played against. I've played against some great ones. And like you said, he's the guy I always say, now you see him, now you don't, because he can go from standing still to, boom, that 4.3 or whatever he ran in the 40, just like that, and you just had to go and take your shot at him because, I mean, if you sit there and kind of break down and wait, there's no way you're going to, tackle him. So you had to be coming 100 miles an hour and just take your shot. Other than that, I mean, he's going to make you look silly. I mean, this guy was a tremendous running back. Great speed, great cutting ability, strong legs. I mean, very strong legs. So he was the toughest I've ever played against.
In your opinion, the greatest running back of all time? I get it. Walter Payton, Emmitt Smith, of course, has the record, but greatest running back of all time in your opinion?
Well, that's real tough, and a little controversial there. But I mean, to me, if he plays, he only played 10 years. He plays a couple more years, he's still the leading rusher in NFL history, and to me, he would be the best.
All right, there you go. Ricky Reynolds, thanks a lot for coming on the Evolution, and we'll see you next Wednesday night, all right?
All right, Peter, we'll see you next week.
All right, there you go, Mr. Ricky Reynolds, Buccaneer legend. And I mean, if you didn't watch those plays, that guy's a playmaker, okay? He jumped a lot of routes, made a lot of plays. Open phone line if you want to call up the 320 Solar phone line here, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. We'll have him every Wednesday night breaking down the Bucs game, maybe talking some old NFL. When you get a guy like that, you got to ask the certain questions that people want to hear, and so we'll definitely do that. Let's go out to the webheads, and then we'll get TJ Pittenger on of the Big Three roll-up. Cornell says, go Bucs. Christopher Cole, let's go Bucs. Fire those cannons. There you go, right there. Dominique says, let's go Bucs. Brent says, let's go Bucs. I'm here first, says Johnny Dean. I can't wait. I'm all in. 4 more days. Absolutely. Fred Swayze Moore, go Bucs. Keith, should be an exciting season. Christopher, I hope Evans is good to go Sunday, but if there's any risk, he needs to sit out. Dominique says, Christopher Cole, I agree. Yes, sir, go Bucs. Christopher Cole, once again, love it. Eric says, can't wait to run my mouth. I'm so tired of people still trashing us like the stuff in the past matters. We are better than your team today, and that's what matters. 100. Absolutely. Keep it 100 here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Eric McKinney, it still matters until this team turns it around on the field, just not on paper. Ricky, the man. Eric says, how can we not do better when we lost 5 games by 7 points or less? How can we not get better with Tom's brain over Winston? How can we not be better with both the running backs we picked up? How could we not be better with Gronk added? How could we not be better with an improved line? How could we not be better with the coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coach on their second year? People can keep delaying the inevitable, but if they want, Tampa Bay is about to do the damn thing on the field. Just wait for it. Good stuff there, Eric. Appreciate you. Chase says, true, but stuff happens. Joshua Cole Allen, who did a hell of a job on the Audible right before me at 7:30. What's up? How you doing? Christopher Cole, the hockey game is chippy tonight. Of course, update that score. It is 1-1 in the second period, mid-second period. What's going on, Johnny Dean, 320 Solar. Peter Blake is the man. We love this show. And Ricky Reynolds, go Bucs. Absolutely. Daniel says, Winfield will get a pick from Drew, guaranteed. Eric White says, brought to you by Fast Track Cannabis Clinics of America, mycannabiscard.com. And text pick to 1-833-4-MMJ. DOC 4665362 mycannabis.com. Excuse me. I wonder if Winston will be active on Sunday. That's a great question. He's the third quarterback. I don't know if he's going to be or not. It's the Bills' division to lose right now. Agree. Should be. Isn't he the number 2? Seems likely he is not. Taysom Hill is the number 2 quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. Someone in the comments got Joshua Cole Allen to say go Bolts tonight on the Audible. Still owes me a bet. Can the Bucs DB sit on the short routes and make Breeze throw deep? And their playoff loss, Breeze longest completion was 20 yards. His arm is shot. I remember that game well. Was up and shouting, take that stuff, Ricky. The Islanders got embarrassed the first time around, so they are chippy. Johnny Dean says, gotta love a cornerback who is physical as Ricky was. That's why I like Dean so much. Johnny Dean also says, how many times did Ricky break Magic's hearts? I think that's what he's saying. Slick Ricky Reynolds, a.k.a. Shaft, you damn right. Creamsicle forever. Perkins equals Shiano. Yaj says, Pete brings the passion every show. Let's go Bucks. And Sitton says, is Mike Evans really hurt? Let's go out to TJ Pittenger. And that is the big story. Welcome to the evolution. Try to follow Ricky Reynolds, right? In that highlight package that we played. I never knew he made so many plays, but that's how you know when you're getting old, TJ, when you forget some of those plays that you used to watch when you were a kid. Welcome to the evolution, buddy. How you doing?
I'm good, man. There are certain games that I'll never forget. Obviously, the massive ones, and then certain ones you remember because of things that were going on in your life. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that people are like, "Oh, you remember when this happened?" And I'm like, "Oh, not really at all." So yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. There's one highlight in there against the Steelers where he's actually wearing sleeves at Tampa Stadium, and that's because it's one of the coldest days of the year. In fact, I believe it's the day after Christmas, and it actually snowed that year in 1989. That was on Louis Lips, that interception. So I remember that because I was listening to, of course, Gene Deckerhoff in the car. There was no Bucs games at that time. They were always blacked out at that point. But I remember just hearing about how they were in white and they were in sleeves, and they were much colder than the Steelers were. So with all that being said, the big story has been Mike Evans and possibly a soft tissue injury. Do you think there's a possibility that he could miss this game? And the reason why the Bucs kind of bench him is because you don't want this to be a lingering injury where he could miss significant time.
Yeah, if there's any, I'm not a doctor, I know that some people on here may think I am, but I am not a doctor, so I don't have any medical advice. But if it is anything that could linger, if it is anything that he could do more damage to, he absolutely needs to sit if he's not 100%. One game in the NFL is not as important as your best wide receiver, right? Probably your most, one of your most important players on the entire team. Mm-hmm. You'll remember that I brought this up on the show before. Jameis had to play the last 4 weeks of the year without Evans or Godwin. And, obviously had the interceptions, but I thought did a good job with Perriman and some of those guys that are no longer even on the roster. But I don't think we want Brady going through that to start the year. So, yeah, I think that if there's any chance that he could do further damage, any chance that he could injure it more, he's got to sit out. You're going to – I think everybody in Tampa understands you're probably going to split with the Saints. And I'm not saying that losing Evans would just be a guaranteed loss or anything like that. But even if you lose Evans for the game and you lose that game, so what? You win the next 3 and you're rolling probably about like you thought you would. So yeah, if there's any chance, I think you leave him out and do your best with Godwin.
And, of course, the big reason why you want Evans, you want him to get that 1,000-yard receiving. He's your number 1 wide receiver. And also he takes the pressure off of a Godwin because, look, Lattimore has done a good job against Evans. He did a good job against him last year. But if he's missing out of that game, now Lattimore can shift to that side of Chris Godwin. And whoever's on the other side, say a Scotty Miller or Justin Watson, you still feel confident even with Brady being a quarterback? That offense is still explosive, but again, not as explosive without Evans.
Yeah, I'm less confident. I know that the web heads don't want to hear this, but I have the Saints winning either way.
Right.
that's maybe why I'm a little more willing to let Evans sit. I kind of see it as, a game that the Bucs probably lose. Now, could they win? Sure. It's the NFL, any given Sunday, right? All those cliches.
Right.
Because it's a game I already kind of see the Bucs losing, I'd rather him just sit and not. I know that week one we don't want to hear that, right? I know that that's kind of
right.
The energy's high, football's back, and we're excited, but it's kind of already a game that I see as a possible loss. I don't want to see us. I don't want to see him hurt longer, and so, yeah, it definitely puts more pressure on the other guys. I mean, Godwin probably had the season that he had last year because of Evans taking a lot of doubles and number one coverages and things like that. So it puts a lot of pressure on Godwin, but I mean, there's still a lot of targets, all three tight ends. Let's see what Gronk can do. Let's see what Godwin can do in a number one role. Let's see what Shady can do out of the backfield, like the running backs that we picked up. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't want to lose Evans. I certainly don't want to lose him long term. But if we have to for a game for the future, then I'm okay with it.
Absolutely. We're on with TJ Pittenger of the Big Three Roll Up. And what is it's double fries, no slaw. And go ahead and explain this new podcast, because if you're a Florida State fan, you're going to definitely want to listen.
Yeah, so double fries, no slaw. It's a little ode to Guthrie's, big restaurant up there in Tallahassee. There's a bunch of them kind of all over. There was one in Gainesville at one point. There's some in Alabama, and there's one they just built in Orlando. But yeah, if you there's one here in Tampa. They just built one here in Tampa. Big restaurant up there is Guthrie's, but it's just kind of breaking down all things Florida State with a buddy of mine, Richie Barnes, and championship champion Freddie Stevenson. So we have a good time. We've had some fun over the last month and a half. Florida State starts on Saturday. The Bucs start on Sunday. So it's been a fun week to talk football. And so check us out: iTunes, Spotify, Facebook, Periscope, all the places you can catch this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. College football is getting in gear. Again, if you're a Seminole fan, they're playing. So that's good to see. Let's talk about a former college running back in Leonard Fournette. That was the breaking news last Wednesday night. How many carries would you expect Coach Arians for him to get to see in this game versus the Saints?
I don't know. Is he going to coach the way he did last year, where he just totally abandons the run game and never comes back to it ever, with leads, without leads, everything? So I have no clue. The way Arians talks in his press conferences, I know he likes to throw Winston under the bus and say that, every time they play, they were going down by 14 points in the first 4 minutes, and that never happened once to the Bucs last year. I believe they led or were tied in 12 games at the half last year. And so we could have run the ball last year. We just didn't, right? So I would think that just really speaks to a lack of trust that he had in our running backs last year, that Jameis was throwing the ball 50 times a game with all of his interception issues. And so I hope so. I hope the running game is able to help out. I don't think Brady needs to go back there and throw the ball 50 times a game. I think you want to play, especially if Evans is out, I think you want to play a little slower. I think you want to limit Drew Brees possessions. I think you want to get a Fournette involved. You want to spread out, have 4 targets on the outside, whether that be, a couple of your tight ends or a tight end and 3 receivers. Obviously, if Evans is there, that helps. And then hand the ball to Fournette so they can't load the box. So, yeah, hitting Shady on some screen passes and some stuff out of the backfield, I think it would be absolutely massive. So, yeah, I hope we run the ball more. But that all comes down to Arians. I'm not buying his crap on, blaming deficits or anything like that. Because for most of the season, we didn't trail heavy like that.
With Fournette, he says, for the first time in my life, I really have a quarterback. Says talking about Tom Brady. Some people kind of took exception to that. Are you taking any exception to that, or is that just the excitement of Fournette joining the Bucs with the greatest quarterback of all time, and Brady?
A little bit of both. No, I don't take any exception to that. I mean, I know that UCF fans got all upset because Blake Bortles is a UCF fans just get upset about everything. So I'm sure I'll have my mentions after saying this. But, yeah, I understand that UCF fans are upset about him saying that when Bortles was there. Spoiler alert: Bortles got cut. Didn't get re-signed there, and is a backup at this point. So yeah, this is the first time he ever has had a quarterback, and part of that is probably being taken out of context. He's probably very literally meaning that this is the greatest quarterback to ever play, and he's excited to play with him. But at the same time, he's right. All of his quarterbacks were absolute dog crap up in Jacksonville. So I don't feel bad for him saying that. There's not really like a Bucs-Jags rivalry or a Bucs-Dolphins rivalry, but I'm all for making one. So screw them.
Yeah, absolutely, because the Jaguars most likely are going to be tanking for Trevor Lawrence. We're on with TJ Pittenger of the Big Three roll up here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Just 4 days away into the Bucs versus the Saints in the Big Easy. So let's talk about the Saints. Are you surprised at what you heard about them and trying to basically scam some team out there to take on Jadeveon Clowney's contract, pay the bonus, pay the base salary, and then they would ship them a player and a draft pick, and the NFL basically put the kibosh on that. Are you surprised at first the Saints would try to do that? And what were they thinking? They're in the cap. I get it. They're trying to get a player like a Clowney, but you can't break the rules now, Saints. You're not the Patriots.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time they tried to break the rules, right? Like that it wouldn't be the first time the organization has gotten in trouble, gotten caught. You remember Bounty Gate and everything that's gone on there. So I think teams try to toe the line, right? Like I know that Blake's probably in here going crazy right now that we would talk bad about his Saints, but I think teams try to toe the line, and sometimes they get caught and sometimes they don't. It's the people look for the Patriots type things because they continue to get caught with stuff. But I think you're just trying to get that competitive advantage. And if you could toe that line and see how far you can push it without getting recognized or realized, then you're going to do it. It would not shock me if every team in the league has done something that is unethical or wrong at some point and just not gotten exposed for it or whatever. So, yeah, it doesn't really shock me too much. I mean, I get that they want him, but it's pretty funny.
Real quick, your thoughts on Josh Rosen and the pickup. A lot of fans were making a big deal about it. I think it's a good pickup. He's got potential, but he's on the practice squad. Do you feel like the Bucs can eventually develop him into the franchise quarterback that the Cardinals and maybe the Dolphins saw him as when they drafted him?
I have no confidence. I am the absolute negative Nancy. At least I realize it, I guess. I really don't have a lot of confidence in the Bucs being able to develop him because I don't think Arians is going to be here to do that. I don't know who that guy will be, right? So that's my biggest question or concern there. Is it Leftwich? Like, Arians is on this ride for, the 2 or 3 years with Brady that Tom is here, right? And so maybe Rosen can be developed, but who knows, man? Quarterbacks and coaches have that chemistry, and who knows who the next guy is going to be and how long-term we're committed to Rosen. So I don't mind the pickup. I don't mind having him as kind of your kind of emergency quarterback. Aren't the Dolphins paying him like a ton of money to come here and sit on our practice squad? So I have no problem with it. I just don't necessarily know that he's a long-term answer. He very well could be, but I think it's hard to predict that at this point because, again, I mean, Arians doesn't want another project. He's here to win now and go, in my opinion. So I just don't know who the next coach is, once this is all done.
Yeah, maybe Byron Leftwich. All right, I'm going to get you out of here on this. Give me a prediction. You already kind of gave it away, but give me a prediction on the Saints versus the Bucs.
I think it's a good game. I mean, if Evans doesn't play, they probably do a little bit better. I think it's probably a little lower scoring than that game we saw 2 years ago on opening day, 2 years ago on opening day with Fitzpatrick. I don't know. I think the Saints end up getting a little bit better of us and win something like 31-27, which means that we made 2 field goals or missed an extra point. So maybe that's a little more accurate. But I think they win something like 31-27. But I expect it to be close. And if it's close late, I hope Brady has the ball last.
Well, there you go. And TJ, you're saying that the kicking situation is solved with Ryan Suckup, or when you?
I'm not saying that. Don't put that on me. No, not at all. I hope so though, because I saw Blake talking about what's in my cup. There's gonna be something a lot stronger in the cup next time. If I'm telling you, if we come out and lose a game kicking, Yeah, I don't even have words for it, man. Because after losing 2 of them last year like that, and then starting off the year with, I mean, here's the thing. I've talked about this before. I think the Chiefs are the toughest game on the schedule. This is the second toughest game on the schedule to me. You beat the Saints, man. You could win any game on the schedule, maybe with the exception of the Chiefs. We'll see how good they are again. But yeah, I hope we don't lose a game like that. I hope Suckup's the man. So we'll just say that.
Absolutely. All right, there you go. TJ Pittenger, the Big Three Roll Up. Go ahead and promote yourself here on the Sports Web.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, add me on Facebook, TJ Pittenger. On Twitter and Instagram is TJ_Pittenger. And then follow the podcast, Double Fries Pod, or search Double Fries No Slaw, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, all those places. And then the Big Three Roll-Ups. Just like my shirt says, Big Three Roll-Up. If you are a Florida State, Miami fan, we cover those 3 schools primarily. And we crap on UCF from time to time. So if UCF fans are listening and want to tune in and get offended, I know that's their favorite thing to do. We would be more than happy to have you offended at what hate listens count to. So we'd be happy to have you there.
Good stuff. And real quick, I know you're a Lakers fan. Lakers back in this series, they're going to take it, or is it going to be more of a difficult series than you picked with the Rockets?
Man, I think that they've got it. I do not think that the Rockets can get us really 3 of the next 4 is what they would need to do. If the Lakers win, I'm loving this back and forth, right? Lightning tonight, Lakers tomorrow. Lightning the next night, Lakers tomorrow. So if the Lakers can get this next game, which they looked really, really good in the second half yesterday, if the Lakers can get this next game and go up 3-1, that one's over. Houston will quit. And then it'll be Lakers-Clippers, I think, in that conference finals. And I think the winner of that wins it all. So I think the Lakers are – strange things have happened, but I don't think they lose 3 of the next 4 to get kicked out. I think they beat Houston at least.
All right, there you go. TJ Pittenger, the Big Three Roll-Up. All I have to say is this. Right there. You know when you know.
Go Knowles.
All right, man. Thanks a lot for joining me here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. All right, boss?
Thanks, buddy.
All right, there you go. Good stuff. Let's go ahead and get out to Blake Ruffino. He's a busy man, so this also may be a quick interview, but interview. We got to move in and out here. Welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Of course, Blake Ruffino of the Are You Serious Sports Talk Show. And of course, Are You Serious? 4 days away from Saints versus Bucs. And you're the guy that represents the Saints, has some intel. So we're going to try to find out about what the Saints situation is. And already we're starting out with the injury situation with us, not only with Mike Evans, but also with you and Marcus Davenport. What's going on with the Saints?
Another year, another Marcus Davenport injury, right? I mean, it's kind of come to this point where the Saints went up to go get Marcus Davenport. They traded with the Green Bay Packers to go get him. He's been nicked up. I think he'll be okay. I think that he might be limited. He might not even go in week 1, which may be okay because rookie Zach Bond is a guy that they like, who is a guy that can provide pressure off the edge. They do have some depth at defensive end and some very good young talent. It stinks that he's not going to be out there possibly, but I think that he is going to really fight back to get back into week 1, but a really big blow for this defense.
Yeah, and then you're also looking at a new guy there who you drafted as a guard center, and that would be Cesar Ruiz, right?
Yep, sure is. Look, I like Cesar Ruiz a lot. You know, McCoy's going to stay at center, and Ruiz is going to be at guard. I really, really, really like this offensive line for the Saints. I think it's one of the more underrated offensive lines in all of the NFL. When you talk about from Armstead to Pete to McCoy to Ruiz to Ramczyk, I can't really think of a better starting 5 offensive line than that. Andrus Pete, as bad as he's been at times, is a Pro Bowl guard. Armstead has been a Pro Bowl tackle, and so has Ryan Ramczyk. So I think that their offensive line is really good. And look, against the Bucs, who later in the season had a really good defense, especially stopping the run. Last year at the end part of the season, their defense really stepped up. But I think that this offensive line can control a lot of this game, and hopefully for us Saints fans, they will do that.
And we're on with Blake Ruffino, who is getting just as excited as I am, only 4 days away from Bucs versus Saints. Of course, Blake Ruffino of Are You Serious Sports here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. If you have a question for Mr. Ruffino, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It is the 320 Solar Hotline, so definitely use it because it's hot tonight. And it looks like maybe they're getting this deal done with Kamara. That's the hot rumor right now. Is that going to happen eventually? Or are the Saints in big-time trouble if they don't get this deal done because of their cap situation, not only this year, but next year?
Peter, and I know I came on, it wasn't with you, but I know that I came on and we talked about Jadeveon Clowney. I even hinted at them trying to do a sign and trade. I kind of ripped Mickey Loomis a new one on Monday for trying to pull that off. Stupid move by him. I think that they were trying to get that. But in reference to Alvin Kamara, look, everything that I hear is that they're going to be doing a deal within the next couple of days. It's always wait till the next day, wait till the next day. Alvin's going to be fine. They're working out a deal. Look, Marshawn Lattimore, who is a guy who's been really good, the defensive rookie of the year a couple seasons ago, with Jalen Ramsey getting his new deal, Tre'Davious White getting his new deal. He is younger than a lot of those guys. So in reference to cap hit, Peter, they may prolong this. They may do a salary cap issue where they backload that deal for Marshawn or for a Lattimore. Ryan Ramczyk is a guy whose name keeps coming up in contract negotiations as well. But I really think that they're going to sign Alvin Kamara in between the Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon area to a Christian McCaffrey. So they're not going full out and breaking the bank. So I would expect about 13 to 14.5 million a year for Alvin Kamara. They're kind of working on the incentives. But I still think a deal is going to be done here sooner rather than later. And I don't think it breaks the season by any chance.
So no distractions at all from this Kamara not getting the contract done or getting it done. No distractions on this team right now from that?
No, I mean, Alvin's come out and said, we're gonna do this deal. Look, it's a negotiation. If I didn't want to be here, people made a big deal about him sitting out, which, he even came out and said, look, I'm not, all you little rascals, y'all better quit all that. and so, he just sat out because they were going to go through negotiations. They needed him present because they thought that they were going to sign. It was a 2 or 3 day deal. And when that part kind of fell through, he went right back to practice. Look, we've seen this with a Tom Brady. We've seen it with a Brett Favre. We even saw it with a Drew Brees. So the unexcused absences are not that big of a deal for Alvin Kamara or the Saints. They're going to wind up excusing those missed days.
Yeah, I mean, and you talk about Lattimore. He's done a pretty good job versus Evans, really shut him down. What do you think makes him so good and so tough against an Evans who, by the way, may not play in this game on Sunday? Yeah. Once again, it's a hamstring. But what does Lattimore do so well that a lot of corners don't do in this league?
In my personal opinion is that he plays a really good man coverage. He really is good at not showing if it's zone or man. He's able to take away your number one receiver. I think there was a week there, Peter, and we saw with Mike Evans. And then the following week against Julio Jones, he had only given up 5 catches against those two wide receivers. Excuse me. So I think that he's good with that. He does play up and down to competition, which has been a problem for him. He's got to clean that up moving forward. But I think that he will be fine. Look, he's still a really young guy, 22, 23-year-old guy. Look, that's still very young. I mean, look, I'm having knee and hip problems. This guy's still a young little rascal out there running around. So I think that he will be okay moving forward. But he will be another guy who's going to get a big deal, I would expect, from the Saints. And like they always do, backload it, especially because of the Drew Brees cap hit that they'll take next year. And Drew is not coming back, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, and they're lowering the salary cap to $175 million. So once again, Mickey Loomis and that organization will find a way to sign their own players, and you have to salute that. But once again, you have to figure out what the long-term ramifications are going to be going forward. So we'll definitely have to watch that. Now, talking about Clowney and Davenport, if you look at their statistics, Clowney, a lot of hype, but 3.5 sacks last year. Davenport, 3.5 sacks. Same amount of tackles. So to me, I think, trying to pay Clowney a $15 to $17 million, it works in Tennessee maybe because he's going to definitely, you're going to get the most out of that coach from Vrabel. He's going to get the most out of him. He had his best year with the Houston Texans, but he's never been that guy to take off. He's only had 9.5 sacks. He's never been that double-digit sacker. Why do you think that is with the Clowney?
I don't know. Peter, that's a good question. One I don't have an answer for. I mean, look, you saw what he did under Vrabel when Vrabel was at the Texans. He did have 9.5 sacks. Davenport was a little interesting last year. He had a crap ton of pressures, just never got to the quarterback. I think 2 or 3 of those sacks were half sacks because Cam Jordan was right there with him. So I don't know in reference to Clowney, but in reference to the pressures from Davenport, he did get a lot during the season, just could never close. And that was a good thing that I thought, like, hey, man, you're getting there. You're just not getting the sack. At least you're there, and you can work on, having the sack. And so, but Clowney, man, I don't know because he had a J.J. Watt that was on the opposite side, probably the best defensive player we've seen in this generation by, maybe even a long shot. So I don't know. I think that as an offensive lineman looking at him, he tried to leans too bit on one move. Like if you notice, he'll go for a rip, and if you stop him, he's going to continue with that same move. He never was really good with a double move, like a spin back inside or a half spin. Dwight Freeney, the great Indianapolis Colt, was always good with a bull rush, and then if you stop the bull rush, he's going to spin right out of you. Having those versatile moves, I think that Clowney got away with in college so much with just having the one move that he just hasn't really developed a second move when this first one gets stopped. And that's just my opinion looking at him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's more of a run stopper. Along with Blake Ruffino of RU Series Sports Talk Show, definitely tune in. Love to have him on his New Orleans Saints perspective, SEC, LSU. We talked about Leonard Fournette, and you said that if the Bucs went after another LSU Tiger that you might throw up. This is a good one right here. 25-year-old running back, career high in rushing yards and also catches. How many carries do you think he sees in this offense on Sunday? And do you think the Saints defense is concerned about him?
Concerned? No. I think he gets probably 7 to 8 carries. At least I would, maybe not carries. I would give him 7 to 8 touches, Peter, no question. Around here in Louisiana, I know there was some probably talk in Florida because of Jacksonville and Blake Bortles, like TJ was just mentioning. But, he said, I've never played with a better quarterback or really a good quarterback since Tom Brady, which, kind of got a lot of pushback in Louisiana, although true because he played with some horrendous quarterbacks at LSU. Danny Etling, Brandon Harris, Anthony Jennings, all were horrible quarterbacks. And I don't mean to be mean to them. And they were out there trying to win games, and I get that. But he's never been – and, Peter, when I came on the last time, and I mentioned this, he had never played in a system like this ever, with a quarterback that can get him in the right play, in the right check, in the right formation at the right time to score a touchdown. And if you get in Tom Brady's good side, especially in the red zone, he's going to feed you the rock. Look at LeGarrette Blount. Look, I broke this down. Look at what LeGarrette Blount did the seasons he was with Tom Brady. He's a one-trick pony. Okay, he's not catching the ball out of the backfield like Leonard Fournette. And Fournette had 76 catches last year. People at LSU were like, oh, this guy can't catch. He's got brick hands. Bull doo-doo. Okay, Rudy Poo, yeah, okay. Think Bruce Arians isn't going to sling him that rock. Okay, as a Saints fan, that scares the bejesus out of me because now you have another weapon. And I think as the season goes on, he will take over that number one running back spot. And really, look, I know that Tom Brady's older and he's still the GOAT, greatest of all time. But you need a good running back and a good running game to be able to take some pressure off the passing game. And especially if Mike Evans is, God forbid, out for more than 1 week, then I think you're going to have to feed these running backs a little bit more.
Still concerned about Drew Brees and his decline because there was a great comment in there. Have these corners, just jump these routes because he's not going to throw deep. Do you still believe that Brees could be on the decline? And should these corners of the Bucs force him to throw the ball deep?
Do I think he's on the decline? Yes. I think any quarterback 35 and older, maybe even 38 and older, is declining. I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers from 2 seasons ago to last season. And I get that it was a new offensive scheme, but you could just tell. I'm going to tell you this, Peter. It's as Arian says, and all your fans and listeners, it's risk it or no biscuit for Drew Brees this year. He came out with a statement today. Hey, this is pretty much he's telling everybody in the statement today, I'm going to rip it and I'm going to let it all out. No more just, oh, well, I might check it down because of the fact that, well, we have more games going on. He's going after it because he knows. And he knows that this is the last ride and that there is no tomorrow for him, so to speak. Kind of like one of my favorite football movies of all time, The Replacement. There is no tomorrow for you. And so that's how Drew's doing it. And let me tell you something. From what a guy that I grew up with told me that Drew has never been this focused this early because I think he knows that this is it. So I kind of think that Drew could sneakily kind of just have a better season, have a little bit more turnovers and interceptions, but I think that he goes for it all because he's got to.
2 more questions, and then we'll get you out of here. I know you're a busy man. Blake Ruffino of Are You Serious Sports Talk Show here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Biggest concern for the Saints in 2020, in your opinion?
Depth. I think that depth is always, especially in the COVID-19 world. I think depth on the offensive line. I think at linebacker, you have issues. Anzalone, who is a linebacker who should be a starter, but he's always been injured. If Alvin Kamara and Mike Thomas, is pretty much covered throughout the game, who's going to be that next guy? Does Emmanuel Sanders step up? I mean, there's always concerns. If I had to say one concern would probably be at linebacker just because of the depth. I know they have Demario Davis, who is great. Zach Vaughn, who's a rookie, is coming in. We've just seen the struggles that they've had at that position. What does Marcus Williams do? C.J. Gardner-Johnson came in and was lights out last year. But what does Marcus Williams do? Outside of Marshawn Lattimore, what does the other corner look like? I know that you have Jack Rabbit, who's going to be on the other side of him. But I think that there are some weaknesses on the Saints defense and offense that I'll be looking forward to in this week 1.
All right, give me the week 1 prediction and try not to be too biased about it. Versus the Bucs.
If you would have asked me if I knew Mike Evans was playing, Peter, I might be a little bit different here. I'm going to say 31-28 Saints.
Okay.
Just in the and that could flip flop. It could easily be 31-28 Bucs. Like I said last time, I think both of these teams split. I think the Saints go to Tampa and lose, and I think that Tampa loses in New Orleans in week 1, or it could be vice versa. I think that they've always done that. I do think that we're going to see a little bit of fireworks. I think that you'll have maybe some continuity issues with Tampa. I mean, you don't have any preseason games in the beginning, but as the season goes on, they'll catch fire. So I'm going to say 31-28 Saints in my prediction.
All right, there you go. Blake Ruffino of Are You Serious Sports Talk Show. Go ahead and promote yourself, and then we'll get you out of here.
Yep. Thank you, Peter. Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate Keith, as always, being right there with me. You can follow us on Twitter at AYS Sports. That's AYS Sports on Twitter. We go live every Monday through Thursday from 7 to 8. We're bringing on a lot of shows onto the Are You Serious Sports Network, but you can catch us here at Are You Serious Sports. There is a comment in there from our Facebook page. Please go like and share our content, as we'll be breaking down the Saints and the Bucs as well moving forward. And Peter, we greatly appreciate you having us on.
Absolutely. Always enjoy having you on. Always welcome here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Mr. Blake Ruffino of Are You Serious Sports Talk Show. We will see what happens on Sunday between the Saints and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right.
We will. And hey, one last thing. I'm a big Yankees fan. And if the Tampa Bay Rays continue to beat my Yankees, I'm going to throw up even more. Every time I look up, Tampa's in my sports-wise right there with me. So anyway.
It is a great year to be a sports fan of the Tampa Bay Rays. Of course, the Tampa Bay Lightning playing as we speak, still tied with the Islanders 1-1. I believe it's late second period. So, and the Rays, they're doing their thing this year. So we'll see if they can keep that hammer down. I believe, what was it, 8-2 this year, the Rays over the Yankees. So keep on doing that. Keep on spanking those Yankees. Blake Ruffino, thanks a lot for coming on the Evolution. All right. Don't hold it
Thanks,
against
guys. Y'all have a good night.
All right, there you go. Blake Ruffino of Are You Serious Sports Talk Show. Open phone line. I mean, you guys are quiet. What's going on? We got 4 days until the Buccaneer season starts. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Of course, the NFL season starts tomorrow with the Kansas City Chiefs, the Super Bowl champion, versus the Houston Texans without DeAndre Hopkins. We'll see with Deshaun Watson and that big-time contract extension. I'm surprised, but I guess if somebody's going to give you $39 million a year, you're going to take it, right? Even with one of the worst GMs in the league, which will be Bill O'Brien, but he makes up for it with his coaching ability. I will give him that. They've done a good job with leading the Texans to the playoffs, so we'll see if he can continue to do it this year. Like I said, but really quick, let's go out to our sponsors. We kind of missed it. A lot of people on tonight. We had the great Ricky Reynolds on, TJ Pittenger, Blake Ruffino. So let's go out to our sponsors, mycannabiscard.com, and of course, the Deck Bar and Grill. We'll be back on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Enjoy. All right, welcome back to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. What is the big deal about that? We will have your pre, half, and post-game editions of the Sports Web, getting you ready for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the New Orleans Saints. There's not another Bucs platform doing that. That means Bucs fans, don't sit at home. I get it. With everything that's going on with the pandemic, not being able to go to the games, who would you rather spend your Sundays with than Bucs Report and the Sports Web? And of course, your favorite sports talk show host here, yours truly, Mr. Peter Blake, right? Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, Joshua Cole Allen, possibly Leo Haggerty, possibly Travis Faley, possibly Rick Brown, possibly Philip Schwagler. And all these guests don't necessarily have to be there to be a part of the show, but you can be. You can be a part of the show. You can get on camera. You can talk to us. You can tell us how you feel about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What other Bucs platform gives you that opportunity? It's at the Deck Bar and Grill in Isla del Sol in St. Pete, a beautiful place. Of course, I need to wear some more sunscreen because, as you can see, I look like a tomato still. So I will definitely lose that color eventually. I'll be tan. I'll be wearing some sunscreen, and hopefully you're getting out there and enjoying the Bucs games and just watching and getting excited, because I know these expectations are high this year, and don't be afraid of these expectations. So if you want to join us, the Deck Bar and Grill, let's go out to the webheads here, talk to you guys, see what you have to say. Let's see, 28 Bucs, 24 Aints. New Orleans won't be able to feast off of Jameis turnovers and win this year. Jonathan Lane says, can't wait for this game. Bum we won't have fans for this game. Drew Brees versus Tom Brady deserves a full house. I'm hoping for a great game. Let's go out to Matt Colson. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. We're only 4 days away from Brady versus Brees. Saints versus Bucs. There you go.
24 hours away from a kickoff.
I'm telling you, right? I'm absolutely telling you. Love it.
I don't know where you're at because what I'm watching on TV doesn't match what I'm hearing from you now, so I don't know what's going on with YouTube or whatever. I've been away for a little bit.
No,
but
well,
I wanted to say,
okay.
I jinxed Mike Evans. I told you and Rick Hughes a week or so ago that he's got a history with hamstrings, and with no preseason, there's a chance he's going to yank one in the first week or so. And damn, he didn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a concern. That's been a concern, of course, both of those wide receivers, knock on wood, with Godwin going out with a hamstring injury and Evans going out with a hamstring, and he's always had these type of problems. And I guess what I'm thinking here, Matt, is why take the chance if it becomes a lingering thing and this organization and Bruce Arians feels like, you know what, it's serious enough where we have to bench him for one game? Are you okay with that decision by Coach Arians?
Well, if they got to do it, they got to do it.
Right.
15 more games to go.
Right.
I mean, but, you know, what I don't understand is why that continues to happen. He should be on some kind of regimen where he's either nutritionally getting some kind of alignment like Tom Brady does, or getting stretched out better, because every year he does this, and it lasts for about a month, and he'll either get over it or pull it again. Because I can remember him catching like a 65-yard pass down the sideline
against the Colts last year, and that's when he went out for the whole year. You're exactly right. I mean,
kinked it, man, and it was gone, and that's the end of that.
Right.
And we don't need that. I mean, we got enough worries about Brady to not be concerned with the younger guys.
Are you still worried about Brady? Is that still one of your main concerns?
It is and it isn't. I don't know that I told you this. I'm 55. He's 40 what?
43. No, he's 43. Yeah, he's 43.
I don't want to rush him.
Yeah, don't rush him.
I know at 43, I couldn't go down and play at the gym and do a run full court basketball like I did when I was 29.
Right.
So there's that to be concerned with. And I still think we have questions with the offensive line, although I hope that that's been resolved, because he gets rid of the ball a lot quicker. I've said this. A lot of people have said this. It's like 1, 2, 3, and it's either going out of bounds or somebody's open. And he doesn't mess around with that. He doesn't hold on to it like Jameis would. And so that's to his favor. I just hope that rookie, I guess he's going to be starting. Tristan Wirfs, is that his name?
And the right side. That's another big question mark, and how they're going to be able to deal with that defensive line. Of course, you know, it's not all bad for the Bucs, because Marcus Davenport on the other side of the ball, which would be the Saints, they're having their own injury situation. He's a defensive end. 3.5 sacks. They expect, 6 sacks last year. So they expect big things out of him. And he's hurt. He's got an elbow situation. And then one of their offensive linemen who they drafted, who is versatile at the guard and center position, is also hurt. So look, I get it. It's a National Football League. You would expect injuries. You just don't want it to happen early. But if it does happen early, you don't want it to become a lingering thing. So I guess my question would be, how bad is that soft tissue injury, which has been reported? And if he practices Friday, then basically we know that he's good to go. If not, then it comes down to a game time situation. And I'm not sure if the Bucs are going to make that situation where they put Evans in, especially with him once again coming off a hamstring injury, which was very serious.
I don't think I'd let him practice for the rest of the week.
Okay.
He doesn't need the reps, right? I mean, he knows the tree and he knows what he's supposed to be doing.
Sure.
He doesn't need to be out there doing that. He needs to be in the training room with his shoes on, getting in that cold tank with his shoes on so they don't come out with frostbit toes like OAB did last year. and getting that worked out because it's going to be a long season, and because there's no preseason to it, every team is going to have this problem. I don't care. Anybody who's over 27 years old that's prone to get hurt will get hurt because there's no preamble to this stuff. There's none of that getting used to it, putting your shoulder pads on and getting accustomed to being hit, which is what they had been doing forever.
Right.
And now they don't have that couple of 3 weeks to do that. So that's going to be an issue. But I think Rick Hughes, said yesterday, maybe it was somebody else, maybe Alkeck, but something going on in New Orleans. They're doing some shady stuff because they're worried about something.
Well, they're worried. They're definitely worried about this offense. They're worried about this team. They're also worried about the window closing for them because remember, they were just in the NFC Championship a couple years ago, and then they got bounced out by the Minnesota Vikings a couple years. So
they got robbed.
Yeah, well, not last year they didn't. I mean, maybe last year you could say the pass interference rule came back to haunt them once again, but they feel like that window is closing. That opportunity to win a Super Bowl is closing, so they're going to do everything they have to. And I get it with the Clowney thing, but there's no way that's going to fly with the NFL. There's just no way, and no team should agree to that. Whether they give them a pick and a player or not, you don't want to help another team out. I don't see it.
Who was it that said yesterday? Landry. He said if it was New England, they would have let it go. So I don't know. You try what you can try, and at least he was being creative. I got to give them that. They weren't sitting on it going, "There's nothing we can do."
Right.
They sat around, had a few beers, and said, "Well, let's try this shit," and it worked.
Well, I just kind of wonder. The thing that you don't hear about is the Bucs defense, and I get it. Saints defense with Lattimore. We talked about Cam Jordan, and the linebackers are somewhat young. I mean, they got a nice secondary. They've got some nice players, but nobody's really talking about this Bucs defense. And I almost feel like everybody just assumes that the Saints, with their high-powered offense, are just going to be able to score any chance they get. I'm not sure that's going to happen. This may be a low-scoring game, as crazy as it sounds, because this defense played so well in that second part of the year. And that they've game planned for the Saints. They're looking at all the tendencies of a Drew Brees. And these corners have to be chopping at the bit to get after an Emmanuel Sanders and, of course, a Michael Thomas.
Yeah, I think the less they talk about our defense is better, though. I think the defense is young, so they don't need all this build-up to make them feel like they have to be the 85 Bears.
Sure.
So they can sneak up on people, and I think that's what they should do. And they snuck out last year at number 3 or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people forgot that, and now they're coming in fresh, and we're not having anybody talk about it. Everything's about Brady this and offense that.
Sure.
The other side of the ball is going to – I'm very confident that they're going to be able to do whatever they desire on any given Sunday. They're going to be able to go in there between the line, the rush, and the secondary. Doesn't Denver wish they still had Shaq Barrett?
Oh, yeah, especially with the Von Miller injury yesterday, which looks like it could be not a career ending, but a year ending. I mean, there's some hope, but it's an ankle injury. And, here's a 31-year-old player that, former Super Bowl MVP, has had some injury situations, and, he's getting up there in age. So, of course, Shaq Barrett.
Dislocated tendon.
Well, I don't know if you're going to expect him back. Yeah, I mean, that just sounds bad to me. It just sounds like he's going to be out for a big time period of time. And it's a shame because they finally get back a Bradley Chubb, but it's good for the Bucs because they play the Broncos in that third game of the year with, I guess some fans,
maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Exactly. Maybe. A little
They've
bit.
got fans going to be there in Kansas City tomorrow. They already
Sporadic,
said
I guess. It's like 5 or 10,000. I mean, and that's a shame. That is such a shame for the Chiefs because they're Super Bowl champions. They're all celebrating there. I get it. And looks like the Lightning just scored. So there you go. You're good luck, my friend. 2-1 Tampa Bay Lightning in the third period over the New York Islanders in game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Whoever wins this series, of course, goes to the Stanley Cup final. What else, buddy?
Oh, that's about it. I just wanted to touch base with you and talk about that situation with Evans. I really feel bad because I think I jinxed him. I really do.
Well, I don't think you jinxed him. I just think it's a situation where that was one of the things we talked about with the 14 padded practices, with no game situations, with all those lost reps, that there could be some injuries. And we talked about the soft tissue injuries with hamstrings. And of course, we worry about Mike Evans and of course the Chris Godwin, because both of those wide receivers are coming off hamstring injuries. So let's hope for the best. And if he doesn't play, then the rest of this offense is going to have to step up in a big way. And I think your tight end situation, you look at the Saints linebackers, very young. To me, that's where you could expose this defense with a Gronkowski, with an O.J. Howard, and of course a Cameron Brate, who it seems like everybody forgets about, but is still a main weapon on this team.
Is Edelman out there anywhere?
Well, you don't need Edelman. You got Scotty Miller, though. You got Scotty Miller, Justin Watson, and Tyler Johnson. I don't know how effective he's going to be. So they have a chance. You hope that Mike Evans plays because, of course, you want to see the matchup. You want your best wide receiver, and I think Evans is still the best wide receiver, even though with Godwin's breakout last year, you want Evans versus Lattimore. That's the matchup a lot of guys or a lot of football fans want to see. And then if you see that matchup, then on the other end, you have Godwin versus Jenkins. We know about Janoris Jenkins and how he couldn't cover Mike Evans. I'm not sure if he's going to do a good job versus Chris Godwin. So to me, that's an advantage for the Bucs. Now, if Evans doesn't play in the game, then you have Godwin on Lattimore, and that's where it gets really interesting. That other second wide receiver is going to have to step up because Lattimore is one of the best corners in the game. Period.
I got to believe they're going to play Evans on Sunday. I hope they don't practice him the rest of the week, but I bet he'll be there. He's got that kind of mentality.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to try. And if he can only go a quarter or, 10 plays, then that's what he's got. But he's going to give it something. It's first game of the season, for God's sakes. He's not going to want to sit out.
First game of the season, but you don't want to risk it. You don't want the hamstring injury once again to be a lingering thing. And we know it's a lingering thing. You don't want it to be a long-term thing like a Von Miller situation, knock on wood. Good stuff, Matt. Thanks a lot for calling the evolution of Sports Talk Television, all right?
All right, Pete. You have a good evening.
All right, buddy. 4 days away, guys. What do you say? The Lightning just scored 2-1. Hello? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. Call the 320 Solar hotline here because it's hot. And once again, get some great deals by going to 320solar.com. Let's go out to the webheads here, read some of these comments that I kind of missed. So Sitton, we covered that. Godwin missed last two only. TJ is sipping on that rich man's whiskey. Says, are you serious? I don't get that loser mentality of choking this game up as a loss. TJ Pittenger, where do I get that rich man's whiskey? Ha ha. Sitting, where are all the receivers? We should be okay. Saints are slow starters. Their D is weak at linebacker, and our tight ends should exploit that. Also consider Brees can't throw deep. And even our own Blake Ruffino of Are You Serious Sports Talk Show said that. And people were like, what? Drew Brees on a decline? But he's up there in age. He may not be able to throw the ball deep. So what do? If you're a defense, you squat on those short routes. You listening? Carlton Davis and Sean Murphy-Bunting and Jamel Dean, you be physical with those wide receivers, especially a Michael Thomas. They don't like that. Big wide receivers don't like to be pushed around a little bit. You squat on those routes, and who knows? Maybe you can get one of those interceptions. Only 8 turnovers last year by the Saints team. So it's going to be tough. They do a good job of taking care of the ball. What's the advantage of the game for the Bucs defense? Stopping the running game. That's where it all starts. You got to stop a Kamara. You got to stop a Latavius Murray. You stop them, and you put them in those situations where they don't want to be in. Those 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 9s, 3rd and 12s, 3rd and 11s. And then your defensive players like a Shaq Barrett and a JPP can start to bring the house, can start to pin their ears back and go after a quarterback. You could start to bring some of those blitzes. Devin White or Levante David possibly taking part in that. Just saying. I like the matchup, though. I like the matchup of those Saints linebackers against the Bucs tight ends. How could you not? The catch radius of Gronk and O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate, it's a mismatch nightmare. Gronk is a mismatch nightmare. Make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen. He still has something left in the tank. Now, how much of that tank is left? We'll see throughout the season. But you have O.J. Howard. He's had some productive contests versus the Saints in the past. He's had some good games against them. I remember all too well just a couple years ago with Fitzpatrick as the starting quarterback. So, all right, who dat? Ha, ha, ha. What's going on, guys? Hey, guys, what's up, Dylan? We didn't try to scam nobody. Aha. Are you serious? Once again, he was in here. Great job by Blake Ruffino. With all the receivers we have, we should be. Same organization that did Bounty Gate and covered for the Catholic Church tried to pull another questionable move. Not surprised. Once again, sitting your prediction is 45-24. Tony is 28-24. Get your predictions in here. Want to go out? Absolutely, Jonathan Lane. I agree with you on that. TJ Pittenger says, laugh my ass off. Give big money to Kamara so they are rebuilding next year. Tony says they can't keep everyone. Going to be great to see them fail. Jonathan Lane laughing about that. Dadgummit. Tony says, love seeing Evans own Lattimore when he had an accurate quarterback with Fitzpatrick. Wasn't too long ago. I'm not going to say that has not been a good matchup to watch. That's a good matchup to watch. That's a physical wide receiver that has deceptive speed. And when he gets off, and if he's able to have his way with Lattimore, and he has deceptive speed, if he's able to beat him by one step, you saw Fitzpatrick put it right in there. One step. That's all it takes. One step. So we'll see on Sunday if Evans plays or not. This is great. Absolutely golden, fellas. Appreciate you, Jonathan. Thank you very much for tuning into the Evolution. Lattimore doesn't follow wide receivers, so whoever is being covered by Jenkins is going to go off. I mean, that's the player that was kind of talking a little trash, right? At the beginning of the season. I'm not concerned about the Bucs offense. Oh, yeah? Really? Aren't you the same cornerback that got roasted and toasted last year with the Giants for 3 touchdowns and 180 yards? Oh, you're the guy for the Giants? You're on the Saints now? You're not concerned about the Bucs offense? Really? Okay. Good gosh, Jameis got in his head. Drew's going to throw more turnovers thinking like that. Tony says Jameis is a sleeper agent for the Bucs. With no Evans, Brady is going to tear up the Saints linebackers with the tight ends, right? So you fantasy nerds and geeks out there, and I'm one with you because I had a fantasy draft before I came on, which, by the way, if somebody makes a fantasy draft before you go on a sports talk show, tell them no, you can't do it that night. And if they say you're going to do it, say no, I'm not going to do it. I'll just auto draft. Don't do that. Don't do that. But tight ends, O.J. Howard, a Rob Gronkowski, a Cameron Brate. I don't know which one you start, but I'm pretty good with starting one of those guys. If you have one of those guys in your lineup, go with them because I feel like they're going to have a good day. Thank you, Tony. Says, are you serious? Laugh out loud. Best virtual edits video. Bob Jean. Tony says Brady at 43 on his regimen is going to be fine. Bucs line needs to man up and run block. Big time question mark, right? Leonard Fournette, how many carries is he going to see? According to Coach Arians, he's a bright guy. You got to think that Fournette wants to make an impact. Just getting signed by the Bucs, playing his college football at LSU, a division rival, and the Saints. You know he wants to make an impact. Now, how many carries does he get? Remains to be seen. That's why a victim of volume, a Ronald Jones, may come in handy, a LaShawn McCoy, a Keyshawn Vaughn. All those running backs, it's a good problem to have, but you have to have a running game. We always talk about it. I feel like I'm a broken record here. You got to have balance to your offense. You do. You just have to. All right. I would have liked to see Tristan switch with Donovan. No, that's not going to happen. They're comfortable with Wirfs at the right tackle spot. Now, could that change eventually? Absolutely, it could. According to Nick Citra, our own, he thinks Donovan Smith's going to be a Pro Bowler. So if all that help is going to that side to help Wirfs out against a Cameron Jordan or possibly a Davenport or whoever they have rushing at that point, Donovan Smith is going to have to play big. This is where that comment from JPP where the offense is quicker because the ball is coming out quicker, we're going to see. We're going to see very, very soon, just 4 days away. Don't want a rookie protecting the blind side. Maybe next year he can move. Absolutely. Why would you want a rookie protecting your blind side? You don't want that. It's tough enough with a kid. And look, what do we learn from Al Keck's show? He interviewed the offensive line coach. And what did that offensive line coach say? He can handle it. He's been able to handle those situations. He's well coached. Kurt Ferentz coached him up so well that you have to be confident. It goes back to what Leo Haggerty said. You drafted him number 1. He's starting. He's going to play. Put your confidence in him. There could be some bumps in the road, but I feel like you're better off with the Tristan Wirfs than DeMar Dotson, right? You upgraded at that position. The offensive line has to improve. 47 sacks. Can't do it. Can't give it up. 43-year-old quarterback can't get hit that much. Can't get sacked that much. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. We'll have Rick Hughes on here in about 10 minutes. So we'll just keep on talking to you guys. Bolts score with 7 seconds left. Are you serious? Did they just win that game with 7 seconds left? That's freaking amazing. And we had it here on the Sports Web. We'll be blabbing on. So there you go. Matt Colson was good luck. Tampa Bay 2-1. That's it. They won the game. If they won the game with 7 seconds left, the game's over. Hopefully. I have to look back here. Spoiled it for me. My TV is on delay. Sorry about that. Bolts stole the game. Great last second shot. Could Evans be a red zone target only? I guess it's possible. But if you feel like he's hurt overall, why would you take the chance? Like, I don't know if you're going to take the chance. You're going to have to see where he's at. So I trust the medical department and what the Bucs are going to do. It's going to be interesting. You need Evans, in my opinion. You need him because, once again, it takes the pressure off of a Godwin, right? If Evans is in there, Lattimore is going to cover him. You feel good about that matchup. Not saying Evans can't beat Lattimore. He can, but he's not 100%. So you would seem like it would favor a Lattimore, right? The other side of a Chris Godwin playing a Jenkins, I like the matchup. I like the matchup a lot. So Tony says, Peter, Lattimore doesn't follow receivers if Godwin is in that slot. I love the matchup. All right. It's going to be tougher. Tampa Bay scored with 8 seconds left to end the game. Did we just miss that? Did they just end the game at this point? Due to the familiarity, we may see a decent dose of Gronk to start Sunday. I'm sure in the early stages, that's where Brady's eyes instinctively go. All right. Just tuning in. Hello from Louisiana. What's going on? Or LA, excuse me. Richard, how you doing? Welcome. Best thing about Brady is he hits open guys and doesn't force it to certain players in predictable situations. This is going to be fun to watch. And Tony says, if I were GM, I draft an offensive lineman from Iowa, Wisconsin, and Ohio State every year. Gronk will help with the run blocking. Absolutely. We've talked about that. That's the reason why you go out and get a Rob Gronkowski in the first place, because he's not only going to help be a pass catcher, but also a blocking presence. He's going to show those kids. And it looks like the Lightning just won the game. So Lightning just won the game. They take a 2-0 lead. They just scored with 8 seconds left. I'm sorry I'm blabbing on here. You have to excuse me. I'm trying to do a sports talk show, but doing a sports talk show, trying to watch a hockey game and also monitor comments coming in is kind of interesting to say the least. So, open phone line. If you want to talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning winning this game, 727-255-0391. 0391. It's 727-255-0391. Yes, that's it. And it looks like it's Nikita Kucherov. So there you go. Kuch with the honors. Sorry about that. I want to be as professional as possible. I know we're on Bucs Report, but it's not like I said we just had to talk Bucs football. But of course, that's what you want to talk about. So get on the 320 Solar hotline, 727-255-0391. So we'll have Rick Hughes here in a couple minutes. Going back to the main story, we don't know. Mike Evans missed practice today, so they're going to evaluate him. He's day by day, as we all are. I remember ESPN sports broadcasters saying that all the time. Pretty funny. We're all day to day. We get up in the morning, take a deep breath, and you got NFL football tomorrow night, the Chiefs versus the Texans. I will not be here on the Sports Web. There's no reason. Look, it's hard enough to do a sports talk show when there's a hockey game going on, but to try to do it when there's an NFL football game, nah, that's not happening. We're not here on Thursday. We'll be back on Friday night on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. So, yeah, I mean, going back to that, we'll see what happens with Evans and his status on Friday. If he doesn't practice on Friday, then I would get concerned. Going around the NFL a little bit, of course, we talked about the Jalen Ramsey deal, huge deal there. Don't know what the Rams are doing besides, changing the market for Ramsey. Ramsey's a talented player, of course, getting traded from the Jacksonville Jaguars and that mass exodus of players there. Here's a team that had Fournette, Ramsey, Unique Ngakwe, Unique New York, I feel like saying that, and Calais Campbell, who's moved on. I mean, you look at that surplus of talent that's left that organization, and you almost feel bad for a Gardner Minshew. I mean, that team is going to get bounced around this year. In saying that, former Bucs running back Dare, let me pronounce his name, Agungabwale, goodness, that was terrible, wasn't it? Signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So he did not sign with the Raiders. Dare signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Of course, the captains were announced. We didn't get a chance to talk about that. Tom Brady on offense, Mike Evans on offense. On defense, Levante David and Devin White. Shocker, as my boss would say. My other boss. Not the boss at Bucs Report, the other boss. Call him the real mayor of New York, Mr. Anthony Giuliani. Shocker! Devin White, the captain of this defense in his second year. Could he be the player that has a year where you're like, wow, that's the reason why the Bucs drafted him 5th overall? A breakout year? Could that be the guy? And you heard Fournette's comments, right? I told you. He wanted to join the Bucs because of who? Devin White. You think Devin White, being a captain of this team, went to the Bucs as an organization and say, hey, that's my guy right there. That's my mentor. I look up to that guy. I vouch for him. So, and isn't it nice for players to take less money and come to this team with all the expectations? I mean, you have players that wanted to leave this team in the past. You have players that actually want to come here, and fans are still upset about it. What? Our cap is done. We're going to be the Saints. Relax. Mike Greenberg, Jason Light, they know what they're doing. So, thought that was interesting in itself. On special teams, Bradley Pinion and Kevin Mentor. So, those are your captains. There, tell me what you think. And I really liked him coming out of college. Byron had him for 8 or 9 games as a starter with a really bad football team in the Arizona Cardinals. He was around Miami. He learned. He's sharp. He's big. So we're looking forward to hold on a sec. We're looking forward to having him and grooming him. Were the comments there. So excuse me. He's got everything you're looking for. So it's a great guy to groom. So right there, it tells you everything you need to know. Former 10th overall pick just 2 years ago. Give up on a guy like that. You got to develop him. I get it. Quarterbacks in that draft have done a little bit better, but why have they done better? Because they've been set up to succeed. Say it with me, ladies and gentlemen. Set up to succeed. You can't set a quarterback up to fail. You can't put nothing around him and expect him to be flawless or expect him to get the offense or be a Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback, a great talent, no less, but goes to an organization. He's able to sit behind an Alex Smith for a year, learn under a coach in Andy Reid, who has the pedigree of coaching quarterbacks from the past. You set him up to succeed, not to fail. We've set ourselves up to succeed here. Join the 65,000 following we have here on Facebook, of course, live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and the Twitch Bucs Report channel, which, by the way, what do we got? 4,200 followers? Pretty good. Not bad. Not bad at all. All right. So let's see here. Looking forward to seeing Winfield Jr. in action Sunday. Christopher Cole says, relax. Saints crap. Absolutely. All the secondary for real. I have a feeling they're going to be put to a huge test. That's what you want, though. I want those guys. Everybody's saying I don't like that secondary because they're young. I like them. Give me that secondary all day long. Give me a Carlton Davis. Give me a Sean Murphy Bunting. Give me a Jamel Dean, who a lot of people were surprised wasn't the start on the outside, but he comes in on those nickel situations. Give me those guys. I'll take them. Give me an Antoine Winfield and a Jordan Whitehead, who looks like he pumped up a little bit and can knock your block off. Give me that ball hawk from Minnesota who's going to come in there and make plays. You watch Ricky Reynolds tonight. Jumping routes. Smart, instinctive. You know, Winfield maybe doesn't have all the physical tools, but he does. He really does. He's instinctive. He's a ball hawk. He's got a big test on Sunday versus Drew Brees. All right. Yes, set up to succeed, which you could say in the past that a lot of Bucs quarterbacks have not been set up to succeed. They've been set up to fail. We'll see what happens in Chicago with Mitchell Trubisky. Big year. He's been set up to a certain degree to fail. But the reason why a lot of people are down on him is because basically the quarterbacks that were drafted ahead of him or behind him that have done better. All right, let's go out to Rick Hughes here. Rick Hughes from the Cheap Seats, new debuting a show here on September 13th. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Only 4 days away from Bucs versus Saints. Are you still excited?
Oh, man, am I excited. How about that? 4 days. 4 days. We've been waiting. How long have we been hearing? Is there going to be a season? Is there not going to be a season? Oh, my God, we're all going to die. Everybody's going to have COVID. It's going to be over. Cancel it now. We're 4 days away.
Yeah. It's not all great news. According to various sports today, Mike Evans missed practice.
Yeah.
Be a soft tissue injury. Of course, he's coming off a hamstring injury. What are your concerns? And do you feel like the Bucs could bench him because this injury could be more serious than they're letting on?
You know what's an interesting thought to me is with Godwin in his contract situation next year, if Evans is the one who can't physically, if this is going to become a nagging issue, if this is going to become an ongoing concern, that has a pretty big effect, I think, on what's going to happen with Evans. So I don't know. I mean, am I concerned about it? Thank God that the Buccaneers have that many weapons this year. Mm-hmm. Can you take a hit like that? I mean, it hurts. You lose somebody like Mike Evans, it's going to hurt. So yeah, for the Buccaneers, you have to be honest about it and say, yeah, that hurts. But do I think it's like the end of the world, the end of the season, the end of whatever? No, but you can't keep taking injuries like that. You hope that, listen, I'd rather lose Mike Evans. I'd rather lose the game than lose Mike Evans for the year. I'd rather do what you have to do to get him healthy, not kind of healthy, but really healthy. Do what you have to do now. And weather the storm that you have to deal with during that time.
Yeah, and again, it kind of changes the matchup because instead of Evans versus Lattimore, you have Lattimore on Godwin,
Right.
whoever else is on the other side. I feel like, that's a favorable matchup if it's a Scotty Miller or Justin Watson. So do you still feel confident in this offense with Tom Brady at the controls that they can still be explosive without it, Evans?
Well, I don't believe this is the game that the wide receivers are going to be the focal point and the star anyway. I think this is a game you're going to see the tight ends and the running backs really do quite a bit because the linebackers are the really the biggest weakness with New Orleans. So I think you're going to see a bigger problem coming out. I think the running backs are going to play a big part in this.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you got to be. Well, I was going to say I was going to go out to the phone line because my mother decided to call in, but I think she forgot that the phone line is now rented out to the sports room.
So, Mom, this is like that commercial where the guy's on top of the building and all the people are chasing him. Yeah, you're in the middle of a sports show and your mom's calling saying, your father made this kind of bread, even though he knows I like the other bread.
This is what I think. And I could tell she didn't know because she hung up. She's like, "Oh no!" I was like, "Oh yeah, it's live."
That's awesome. Hey, that's awesome. Let me tell you something. Love your mom. Love your mom. Appreciate your mom every day you have her.
Absolutely. She's on her way back from Michigan because she wants to go out to these watch parties that are going to be live at the deck.
I want to go.
I want you there. I want you there. I want you there. We'll feed you. We'll get you out there. But you're in Atlanta. You're in Falcons country. So we got to figure out a situation where I'm with Rick Hughes from the Chief Seats debuting a new show, which we don't really know what time it's going to be because of the post-game shenanigans that the Sports Web has. And I feel like we're going to get a lot of calls that night, whether they win or lose. But tell us about from the Chief Seats here, Mr. Rick Hughes.
It's going to be a whole lot of fun. It's basically a conversation. I like to talk to the most fun I have had, whether I've had the chance to be on the field, I've had the chance to be in the locker rooms and in the press box and in the luxury suites. The most fun I've ever had at Buccaneers games was hanging out with the people in the cheap seats and really just talking football and just having a good time. And that's what it's all about. That's what we're going to do on Sunday nights. We're going to talk football. Every game that took place that day is fair ground. You can call up, talk about it. Obviously, I mean, we're on Bucs Report. That's the focus. That's what, that I promise you, I'm going to find a way to watch that game every week. So make sure that you have a chance to tune in on September the 13th after Peter's extravaganza out at the deck. Make sure you have a chance to tune in and please come on, call and let's talk football because you're going to be you're going to drive this thing if you're ready. The only question is, are you ready? I'm going to be ready.
Well, I tell you right now, just to update, the Tampa Bay Lightning won the game versus the New York Islanders. Game
wear blue
with 8 seconds. I know, and we need to get Joshua Cole Allen to wear blue. He decided to say, oh, you got to buy me some Lightning gear. No, I don't. The bet is you wear Lightning gear because you're a Boston Bruin.
He's wimping out. He's wimping out.
Yep.
Let me tell you, it's a typical Boston guy. Talk. But yeah, when it comes time to actually put up, it's crickets, man. It's nothing but crickets. You don't hear a darn thing. He was so loud at the beginning of that series, talking. By the end of it, nothing. He wouldn't even respond. So, come on, Joshua, step up, brother.
Not a thing. And the Islanders tonight, they played a good game, but 7-8 seconds left in the game itself. The Lightning score with Nikita Kucherov. I believe that's what they're telling me here. So
yes, and one thing that I don't know if you had the chance to know this because you've been busy here live.
Yes,
the Lightning point got hurt, at least in the second period, I believe. May have been the first. Point got hurt. I think Killorn was out, and of course they don't have the captain. So, I mean, this was a team that. If you're going to lose a game, this is the game you're going to lose. And they did not lose. I couldn't believe it. 8 seconds left. I just, holy cow.
Yeah, holy cow.
It feels like something special is happening in the city of Tampa this year.
Yeah, it really does. It feels like there's something special happening with the Tampa Bay Lightning, possibly the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and of course the Tampa Bay Rays. So with all that being said, the Saints, they have their own injury troubles. Marcus Davenport, defensive end, missed practice, and then also their offensive lineman who they drafted out of Michigan, Cesar Ruiz.
Yeah.
So it's not all bad for the Bucs, and I get injuries happen. What do you think the impact of those two injuries if both of those players don't play for the Saints on Sunday?
Well, this is football. Teams are going to lose people. You're gonna have players that are dinged up and nicked up, especially as the season goes on. It's going to happen. It's not bad luck. It's the game itself. It's going to happen. So this is why Johnny Dean, the professor, is always preaching depth and development. That's why he preaches those two things constantly. Is you need depth, because when something like this happens, you've got to have somebody else there. Now think about this. The Buccaneers are so stacked right now at wide receiver that there were difficulties trying to figure out who they were going to keep. This is when a moment like that comes to this is when that's an advantage, when you can look at it and you can say, okay, thankfully we have depth at that position. And do I think that the Saints are going to be able to weather this? Look, everybody's dinged up. It's the old saying, next man up. They're going to have to do it. It's going to be a good game. This is not looking like it's going to be a blowout either way. It's looking like just a battle, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, it definitely is going to be a whole lot of fun here. All right, let's go ahead. If we can hold under 30, I think we can get the win.
I think that's right.
Facts. I think it's certainly possible. 2 touchdowns from our backs. Eric says, hi, Rick. So Eric, a big Rick Hughes fan.
Hi, Eric.
I'm a big fan of Eric and his calls when he calls in. Webhead. I love the Webheads, but you guys, you seem like you're kind of sleeping. Wake up here. 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Rick Hughes. That isn't that far. I would be there, but in Missouri. Why does Will Golston not get any attention? He's been huge in the run stop defense, very reliable since day one, second longest buck on the team. It's a good point. I think Will Golston really showed out last year, and we kind of talked about this in the last offseason where somebody was trying to make the point of Ndamukong Suh is not going to be able to give him well, I'll tell you what. Let's go back to that point in a moment. Let's go out to the 320 Solar hotline because it's hot. You're on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Yes, sir. You're on with yours truly, along with Rick Hughes on the Evolution. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Hey, what's going on, Eric? Speak up just a little bit, okay?
What's up?
What's up, bud?
Man, do you think Mike Evans could still play, or he's doubtful now?
It remains to be seen. It absolutely remains to be seen at this juncture. Whether he's going to play or not, we'll have to monitor the situation.
If he never practiced, this would never happen.
Well, I mean, it's a part of the NFL. I know what you're saying. Preserve him, but you can't preserve Mike Evans. You got to get him the reps. You got to get everybody prepared to play against the Saints. You have no preseason games. You only have 14 padded practices. I get it. He just restructured his deal, but he is so integral to this offense. So it happens. It's a shame. Right.
If we lose this game, is it because we didn't have Mike Evans? Are we going to be to blame?
We don't know. You got to wait and see how the game goes.
You lose Mike Evans, you never know. It's always the next man up, right? Next man up mentality here, Eric, and somebody has to step up. Chris Godwin stepped up last year. So, yeah.
This is football.
But do we believe in Tyler Johnson? Do we believe in Justin Watson?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to. You know why? Because you have Tom Brady at the controls. So if it's good enough for this organization, those guys have got to step up, and you've got to see what's going to happen. And if they don't, then the tight ends will step up. And the tight ends don't step up, then the running backs will have to step up.
Hey, Eric, do you believe in Rob Gronkowski?
Yeah, I heard.
Do you believe in Cam Brate?
Yeah, but no,
do you believe in OJ Howard?
Yep, I know.
We're gonna be fine. The Buccaneers will be fine.
I mean, is it something we have to talk about here on this show? Absolutely. We'll monitor the situation. We'll see if he practices on Friday. If he doesn't, then it'll be a game time situation where we'll give you that announcement at the Deck Bar and Grill when we get your pregame show up and running with the Sports Web. What else, Eric?
And another question.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a great win. I watched the whole game start to finish, the Bolts game.
Okay.
That was a hell of a game.
One hell of a game, right?
The 8 seconds, that was amazing. I thought we were going to overtime.
I mean, there you go. That's the heart of that team. And here's the thing. The Islanders absolutely got poleaxed. Dad's word. Thank you very much. The other night, 8-2, and they played their best effort and still couldn't beat the Tampa Bay Lightning. So now they're a young team looking at a veteran-laden team who had some injuries, still pulled it off 2-1. There's your example of what happens in sports. It's the next man up mentality. Guys got to step up in the Tampa Bay Lightning.
There's destiny. There's destiny. Just feels like it.
Lost Brandon points.
Mm.
And our team stepped up towards the end of the game.
Yep. Well, there you go.
So that's the same thing with Evans, Eric.
Same thing. Same thing, Eric. Yep, absolutely.
Same thing.
Yep. So.
But, man, I think we can run the ball more in this game towards the Saints. I really think it's going to be.
Wouldn't be a bad thing, right? I mean, especially with Davenport, but it's going to be a challenge with the Sheldon Rankins and all those big hosses in the middle. You're going to have to open up those holes. Let's see if Tristan Wirfs can not only pass block, but also run block. And then you talk about that 12 personnel. What now?
Can block too as well.
Right, but not as good as Gronk. But you talk about the 12 personnel with a Howard and a Gronk. That's where you think most of your gains are going to come from in your running game, and that's where a guy like a Ronald Jones, a Leonard Fournette, a LaShawn McCoy, even a Keyshawn Vaughn could take off.
Watch Brait this year.
Take it at the coin toss. Do you think the Bucs will want to receive or play defense first?
I think
if we win the coin toss?
It's a great question. What do you think, Rick? Do they receive? Do they come out aggressive? For me, I think they come out aggressive. I think they receive, but just knowing the Bucs and their defensive mentality, I think they may want to hit Drew Brees in the mouth. So I don't know. I don't know where I go with that. I look at this.
It's fun to think of.
Right. But I look at this offseason and where the Bucs have been and what they've been doing. And the mindset is we don't give a you-know-what. So most likely they would receive the ball and try to jam it down the Saints' throat.
The only reason I don't think that they won't do that is you want to try to get the ball at the end of the first half and the beginning of the second half. You want those two possessions in a row that can radically change a game. So I would guess that they would go ahead and let the Saints have it first. But you never know with this team. I mean, you really never know.
Hey, guys, do you know, is it going to be fan noise for the Saints? Would it be any sound noise?
Well,
70 decibels.
70 decibels. You would think that would be some type of advantage, but here's the disadvantage to that, if you will. Even though you don't have fans, there's human beings, right? With fans, they're going up and down. With fan noise, they could just put it in there constant. So that could be some type of problem. But once again, the Bucs have worked through this with their scrimmage at Raymond James Stadium. Even Tom Brady was joking around about it. These are professional football players. Is it going to be somewhat different to have that constant noise in there?
That's an interesting question. Are they going to, when the offense is on the field, do they turn the sound down?
I hope so, because then that
would have to be regulated. I wonder how they're going to do that. That's interesting. I've only heard 70 decibels. I don't know how they're going to handle when they turn it up, when they turn it down.
One of the many questions, guys, that I never thought you would ask, but 2020 has been one of those years where you throw everything against the wall and hopefully it sticks, and nothing has stuck. Nothing has been correct. Yeah. Everything has been abnormal this year. So, and it's going to start with football. It's going to be different.
What a season to start with. No Mike Evans. What a year to start week one.
Well, at least it's week one and not week 16, right?
Yeah, listen, Eric, it doesn't mean he's hurt bad. It just means maybe they want to make sure he's good to go for the year, so they're protecting him now.
Correct.
Because he's a little bit, his hamstring's a little bit tweaked.
defense. Now the Saints have an aggregate advantage.
To a certain degree, but then again, the Bucs can counteract that by using the tight ends that they have
Exactly.
and that big time 12 package and exposing those linebackers. And I think, Tom Brady with the propensity, Leo word, of throwing to his running backs and tight ends, that's where you can incorporate your game plan if you're not able to go to your 2 wide receivers. But once again, you have a Chris Godwin, you have a Scotty Miller who's been somewhat impressive this year, had flashes of brilliance last year.
Do you think you can get the number 1 spot now? Scotty Miller quite good, the number 2 spot over Chris Godwin. Do you think you can get some down the road?
No. I think you're jumping way ahead on that.
Yeah, I don't see Scotty Miller. I don't think you want Scotty Miller to be your number 1 wide receiver. You want to be your 3rd wide receiver, your slot guy. But Chris Godwin's your slot guy too.
I was gonna say,
If he plays good, you know it's gonna be some competition going out.
Well, it's good. That's always good to have competition. That's definitely going to help your position out at wide receiver. Absolutely.
See, because Chris Godwin's contract's coming up this season. He's going to be wanting the money. Man, what do you guys think about the Ramsey money? You think our cornerbacks can get that kind of money?
Yes.
When that time is up?
Yes, I feel bad. I was going to ask Ricky Reynolds, what would you do if you had that type of contract? Quarterbacks in his day weren't getting paid that, but cornerbacks like a Ricky Reynolds and even a Deion Sanders and guys like that, a Rod Woodson, paved a way for Jalen Ramsey. Obscene.
What would you do? Buy a yacht?
Invest it. Save it.
Deal?
Huh?
How about the Hawkins deal? Do you think Chris Godwin will get that kind of deal like what Hawkins got?
Hawkins?
Today?
Who's Hawkins? Hersey Hawkins?
Hawkins receiver from the Cardinals.
Oh, DeAndre Hopkins. Well, I mean, look, that's a number 1 wide receiving target right there. That's a top 3 guy. So Chris Godwin, if he puts up those type of numbers, it's a good problem for the Bucs to have. They're going to have to explore that possibility of paying him big time money, and you already paid Mike Evans big time money. And Rick, he believes that maybe the Bucs will let him go to another team, and it's certainly a possibility.
We get the 2 first-round picks.
Oh, you have to see where the cap is.
There's only so much money to go around, but there's going to be a lot more. There's going to be cap space open next year. I just think it's going to be interesting when you have that much depth at receiver. Listen, this is just a fact, Eric. This is just a fact. The New England Patriots have had to let a lot of very good players go over the years because they know that they've got depth at certain positions, and you have to continue. In essence, a very good team with a lot of good players, you churn through players. When they get to be really, really good and want a whole lot of money, you have to let them go and rely on your depth. And the thing is, as the Buccaneers have become what they've become and have the depth at the skill positions that they have, you're going to have to understand. You're just going to have to learn to accept that you can't keep everybody. And the Buccaneers are going to have to let some very good players go to other teams just to maintain being a good team instead of just burning it all at one time. Look what the Saints have done.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's true. I got a question for you. Who would you have to keep? Who would you keep? Chris Godwin, Shaquille Barrett, or David? Because them 3.
Well,
you asked that question.
I thought on this, but I'll share it again. I would keep a Shaq Barrett because you can't find pass rushers. It's going to cost you a pretty penny, but you got to keep him intact. And I'd keep a Chris Godwin. I'd let a Levante David go. I would try to entertain him and signing a lesser deal because you already have a linebacker back there by the name of Devin White, who drafted 5th overall.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. I would say David and Shaq.
I know you would. Who would you say, Eric? Who would you sign? Your 2 players.
I would say probably Chris Godwin.
Okay.
And Shaq Barrett.
Okay, so you agree with me then?
And look at this. And we cut David.
Well, no, you can only sign 2 players now. Okay. Now you went to the jewelry shop and you were trying to get your girlfriend, some jewelry, and you only got a budget. You can't buy the whole store now. You can't be like me and be an idiot and, lose all your money. You've got to budget your money, and the Bucs got to budget the money. So 2 players.
I have a thought. Hey, guys, I know. Here's my thought.
Yeah.
You know, for week 8, week 9, you think an Antonio Brown or Earl Thomas
No.
to the Bucs?
No. Stop. No, stop right there. Here's what I think about Antonio Brown. Here we go. No.
Matt, Eric, stop asking. Stop asking about Antonio Brown. You do every time you call, brother. It's not going to happen.
I said Earl Thomas. How about Earl Thomas?
I don't think Earl Thomas will be in the Bucs plans. Not with this team and the way they're somewhat cap strapped. I mean, they have some money from the Mike Evans extension, but I don't think they're going to spend that on Earl Thomas unless there's a lot of injuries with this back end. So.
What would you do? What would you do with that money in the Bucs have right now? What would you guys do?
Well, I told you what to do. I sign a Shaq and sign a Godwin and put it in their hands and see if they have a plan or not. What's going on? What's going to happen? They may let Godwin go. I don't think they're going to let Shaq go, but they may let Godwin go. But we'll see. We just started the year. Let's play out this year first. And once you play out that year, then let's see where the Bucs go.
I've been thinking about it.
Okay. Well, you've been thinking about it. You've been thinking about football. So what's your prediction for the Bucs on Sunday versus the Saints, Eric?
Okay. Before this Mike Evans thing go down today, I thought it was going to be... Okay, it's going to... I keep with my score, 28-24.
28-24 Tampa Bay?
Yeah.
All right, Eric. Thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate you, all right?
What's your stuff?
Good stuff. Yeah, don't be depressed. I mean, I can't give everything away. I can give you a phone line, give you a text line. I can't give you my prediction. I mean, he sounds like he's depressed now. I'm sorry, Eric.
Look what you did.
Half the people don't even care about my prediction. Every time I predict something, they go against it. They win. That's the way to go. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Rick Hughes from the Cheap Seats. Let's go out to the webheads here. We answered that question. Will Golston, let's go out to Matt Colson. Forget that. Matt, welcome back to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with Rick Hughes.
Yeah, call number 2.
Okay.
For my card tonight.
That's all right.
If Evans doesn't play, it's not like we don't have 18 different people that can at least fill his place.
Right.
For the body.
Right. Exactly. Are they as good as Mike Evans? No, of course they're not as good as Mike Evans. They're not as good as a player who's in his prime that has 6 years of 1,000-yard receiving. Come on. Of course not. But can they get it done in the offense? Sure they can. They'll figure it out.
Again, I don't think this is the game for the wide receivers.
It may not
I
be.
agree with Rick. I think you had mentioned this earlier, Peter, about the linebacking core being so
suspect. Yes.
Suspect.
Right.
I'm trying to get my Leo words out. I just haven't been able to do it.
It's all right. It's okay.
So, yeah, I think it's going to be Gronk to the slot, Gronk on a slash, Gronk on a square out, Gronk. And then when he gets a little tired, needs a Gatorade shot, just going to put Cameron Braid in there and figure out what to do next.
What about no love for O.J. Howard? No love for Juice?
I haven't gotten him yet.
Oh,
you
okay.
got 42 games, 42 plays, right?
Yeah,
Something like that.
42 plays. Yeah, 4,200.
I think the running backs are going to be
42. Well, that's key number tonight. 4,200 followers on Twitch on Bucs
How
Report.
about that?
Prove that. About that. Only
All
one.
of a sudden, Peter's starting to sound like Mr. Magoo, just mumbling to himself.
Well, let's listen to you. Earlier, 42 plays, 42. All right. So what else? O.J. Howard. What's his impact on the game?
I think he's going to make an impression.
Okay.
He impressed me last year.
He didn't impress me last year. He was disappointing. I thought, and even he said it. He was disappointed in his run blocking. He's got to get that better, and he's got to make more plays with his hands.
Well, yeah, but he made some catches that were pretty amazing. I don't remember if it was him or Godwin last year where they went up like the left hash mark and Jameis threw it in a place where it never should have been thrown. And it ended up going under one guy's armpit, one guy's right by his helmet, and Godwin comes out with it like at the end. He found himself a golden nugget. He didn't realize he was going to catch it, and then he scored a touchdown on the damn thing.
Sounds like Godwin.
Living room, I'm like,
Sounds like the throw. Sounds like the throw to what was it? The Falcons game, where it's maybe.
Yeah, it might have been.
Okay.
It was a crazy catch. And
Well, he made a lot of crazy catches last year. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's when they like Jameis. They're like, they can put that thing where nobody else can catch it.
Sure.
In other words, he got away with it, and then he scored. So that was an impressive thing, though, because you got to have some kind of concentration and skill to pull out of that mess. I mean, he was reaching into a freaking box of dogs trying to catch that thing.
Box of dogs. Man, that sounds painful.
That's a great.
I've never heard that before.
I think I'm going to stick that in my repertoire. I like that.
I feel like that would be equivalent to sticking your hand into the car when you slam the car door. That's how I feel
Something
like
that.
sticking your hand in a box of dogs. Unless the dogs are a puppy, then they're probably not going to bite you. But I'm thinking of pit bulls. I always think of the worst case scenario when talking to you, Matt.
I think that's kind of his point.
Everybody has a pit bull out here.
I guess so.
You got a truck and a pit bull and a bass boat, and your house is falling down.
Okay.
All that other stuff. So I should send you some pictures sometime.
Yeah, definitely. Send me some
It'll
pictures.
blow your mind.
Yeah, we'll put it on the sports web.
Guns and his porch is falling off.
Used to be the trailer with the satellite dish.
Porch is falling off, and pets' heads falling off, and.
Anyway, I just wanted to straighten that guy out. He sounded like he was a little upset that we're not going to have Evans forever.
Well, he was upset because I want to give him a prediction, so I was trying to put him up 4 days away. Season ain't over yet. We're already talking about the offseason. What are you doing?
He's wanting to get in Antonio Brown.
Yeah. Here's what I think about Antonio Brown.
So, Peter, I'm wondering what are the Buccaneers going to do about the salary cap in 2027?
I don't care. I don't care. 2 years. That's like asking somebody about a mock draft. What's your mock draft next year? I have no idea. The draft has happened. What are you talking about?
Put one out, though. Todd will put one out here in a week or two.
Yeah,
probably.
Todd will. Yeah, I bet. Todd's it.
Todd.
Probably.
Yeah.
Todd.
Anyway, I can tell you don't have a lot of callers tonight because you're having too much fun.
Oh no, I love having fun. I don't love talking to everybody and their mama. I mean, I could talk to myself all night long.
Well, let's talk to your mama.
Well, there you go. I nearly did that.
Call your mom.
Yeah.
You can do that. You know what? We could definitely do that right now, and she probably wouldn't answer the phone. Probably she. You're an idiot for calling me right now. So I told her though, you can't call my phone number. If you're texting me right now, you can get away with that. But if you try to call me and whisper sweet nothings in my ear, my mom's not going to do that. But
wait a minute. This is more info than I need.
A significant other out there or somebody that's potentially a significant other. You can't do that on this show. We're talking sports and other things.
Threw that caveat in there. You were starting to sound like you're from Oklahoma too.
I don't know where I'm from. My mom. I'm from Florida. What do you want from me?
That? I can't believe you just said that.
What an idiot.
Nobody in Oklahoma but me is watching the show, so
it's
but
okay.
Anyway, who do you got for Kansas City tomorrow? Are they going to beat Houston, or is that going to be a bummer game?
I have no idea. I don't like the Texans. Even though Watson got that big contract extension, I'm not buying the Texans at all because
they gave away their ace card.
Well, they gave away DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, they gave away DeAndre Hopkins, and you have Braden Cooks, who's hurt already, who, once again, shocker, he's always hurt. And then you get another guy in David Johnson, who's also been equally hurt. So both of those players look like, they're big-time question marks. And I love Watson as a quarterback. I like the Chiefs by 10. So
I think the Chiefs are going to blow it open. I think they're going to come in here and make a statement. And
it's so hard to know what's going to happen this week. And keep in mind the Texans did beat the Chiefs last year.
But they had
there are Super Bowl hangovers that come into effect. There are a lot of things like that. So I would pick the Chiefs, but I'm not as confident as you are.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just think, like, I agree with Rick. If I had an extra $100 just laying around, I'd drop it on the most ridiculous line in Vegas, because you never can tell what's going to happen this week. This week could be just about it.
It could be. I mean, you're gonna bet on Jacksonville, by the way.
I would, just for fun.
I probably would. Well, that's throwing away $100.
It doesn't mean you're going to lose just because you bet on Jacksonville, and that's the thing people don't realize.
I would lose if you bet on Jacksonville. Anybody
Well,
who bets on Jacksonville during the year, you're an idiot, because they're
no. Hold on, Peter. Hold on, because there's a line, and the line is literally not set based on whether Vegas thinks a team's going to win by that much or lose that much. Everybody thinks that that's what the line means. If the Saints are favored by 3 or something, last I saw, everybody thinks that they believe Vegas thinks that the Saints are going to win by 3. And the fact of the matter is, Vegas thinks that they have to favor the Saints by 3 to get 50% of the people betting for Tampa, 50% of the people betting New Orleans, and then the house wins automatically.
Mm-hmm.
So the line has nothing to do. Everybody think about this. Absorb this. The line has nothing to do with whether or not Vegas thinks that team's going to win or by how much. It has nothing to do with it. It has everything to do with betting.
I have always been taught that the home team gets 3 points anyway. If it's a push, they're going to give 3 points to the home team because of the crowd favorite and all that stuff. Of course, the crowd isn't in there, but it sounds to me like Vegas isn't really sold on New Orleans. It sounds to me like the Bucs got a good chance of going in there, and if they could get 17 points ahead by the second half, the game's over with. That's what happened when we had the big defensive push back in 80, whatever it was. Every time what did Warren Sapp say? If you give me 2 touchdowns and a field goal, we'll win you the game.
Yeah, 17 points. Yep, 17 points and win the game. But yeah,
and I think if they go into that philosophy again, and I think Arians follows that kind of thinking, that's the way you're going to go. And I don't think you've had a better chance in New Orleans than what we're going to have this weekend, because of the fact that it's opening day. Nobody's had any preseason. Nobody's going to be in the crowd. As far as the crowd noise is concerned, 70 decibels compared to what's normally in that place at 100 and whatever, it's going to be like there's nobody there, ironically. So, so it's going to be it's roster against roster. With or without Evans, I still think we've got way too many weapons on the offensive side. You can't cover Rojo on a draw play. You can't cover Fournette on a sweep. You can't cover Gronk on a cross. You can't cover Godwin on a fly pattern all at the same time. It's just not possible. So somebody's always going to be open, and Brady's going to figure that out pretty quick. If the line can hold up, that's the biggest question. And I've said my piece now.
All right, Matt Colson. Thanks a lot. I still want to bet on the Jacksonville Jaguars. You couldn't pay me enough money to do that.
Who is Jacksonville playing, Peter?
Indianapolis.
There you go. That's a blowout. Yeah, that's a blowout.
It's a blowout by Indy?
Yeah. Blowout by Indy. Yeah.
Did they got a quarterback yet?
Yeah, Phillip Rivers. He's not bad.
Oh, for God's sakes. There's another one's 105 years old.
Oh, that's great.
I'll take that. What is the line? They're giving Jacksonville 17?
What is it? What's the line on that, Rick?
I have no idea. I don't pay any attention to it because, like I said, it has nothing to do with how much you're going to win by. So I'm not a bettor. So it just I don't know.
All right. Well, let's just say for the sake of argument, and I'll talk about it on Monday, Peter. I'll take Jacksonville 17 points. You good for that? You think Indianapolis is that good?
Yes.
All right, then. I'll have to come down there and buy you a beer if I lose.
All right. Sounds good, Matt Colson. Looks like you're going to lose again. What you lost last year with Baker Mayfield, your boy. So we'll see what he does this year with the Cleveland Browns versus that vaunted defense.
It's Indianapolis by 7.5.
Yeah, I'll take the Colts big.
I think I might join you in that one, Peter.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Matt Colson. Appreciate you. All right.
See you later, man.
See you, bud. Great stuff as always from Matt Colson. There's something in my eye, so let me put you on camera right now because let me wipe it out here. Hold on.
Okay. Well, I've got. Here's the thing I want to explain to people, and this is something that people really probably should realize, because they talk. I hear fans talk a lot about betting, a lot about lines, and like Matt was just doing it. Well, what are they favored by? I mean, and it's favored by 7.5, and the only reason Vegas set the line at 7.5 is simple. 7.5 points means 50% of the people will be placing bets on Indianapolis. 50% of the people will be placing bets, or the money. It's not the number of people. 50% of the money will be going for Jacksonville. 50% of the money will be going for Indianapolis, and then the house wins. That's flat out how it works. They don't pay any attention to, I mean, when it comes to injuries, when it comes to things like that, people say, well, the line moves when somebody got injured, because the number of people who bet one way or the other, that changes when somebody gets injured. So it's not something that you can't look at lines and factor that into your thinking that, well, Vegas thinks they're going to win.
Mm-hmm.
No, Vegas thinks 50% of the people are going to bet one way, 50% are going to bet the other.
All right. Like I said, I had something in my eye, so if it's a little bit red, I did rub it. William Golston, he doesn't get enough credit. Why doesn't William Golston get enough credit, in your opinion?
He's not a name. He's not one of the superstar names especially when you have, I mean, on both sides of the ball. I mean, when you got Brady and Gronk and Evans, and when you have Shaq Barrett setting the league on fire, you got Ndamukong Suh. These are all names. Will Golston doesn't really have a chance to I mean, same thing as, let's say, Jamel Dean, Sean Murphy Bunting. These are guys who haven't developed a name yet. Same thing with Golston. I mean, it's hard. It's hard when you've got so many big names on a team for a guy like that to make a name. There are already so many names to be talking about.
Yeah, you're exactly right about that. All right, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. And I think the reason why he doesn't get the pub that he deserves is the fact of he doesn't put up big sack numbers. He's great against the run. He's never really had that double-digit year, but he played a lot better in that defense last year for Todd Bowles. Let's go out to the webheads here. Bolts won tonight. They did, because he doesn't flash anywhere else. Eric says that game was a shocker. That it was. Vita is now a flash play. Is not a flash player either. Let's go out to the phone lines. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television, the 320 Solar Hotline. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Rick Hughes from the Cheap Seats. What's on your mind?
This is Eric again.
Yeah.
I mean, would you place bets on Bengals and the Patriots this year? Would you place bets?
Would I place a bet on the Bengals and the Patriots? That's tough. I don't know. I mean, I probably bet on the Patriots more than I bet on the Bengals with a rookie quarterback, right? Right, Rick?
I just told you I'm not a betting man. My grandfather taught me a very long time ago, do not bet on anything unless you absolutely know that there's no way you will lose. You know the mistake the other person is making. You know why they're willing to bet against you and why they're wrong. Do not bet unless you know that you're right. And you're never going to know that in sports any given Sunday. So would I bet on the Patriots? Would I bet on the Bengals? No.
All right. There's your answer. Anything else?
That's it for now.
All right. Thanks a lot, Eric.
I say that, but I was in Vegas, and it was a Monday night, and the Buccaneers were on Monday Night Football. And of course, I bet. I had a great time. I had a blast. I just hung out in the sports book and just had a blast yelling, shouting, screaming with a bunch of people who didn't care about either team. But it was fun because everybody had placed bets. I had a good time that night.
Good. Awesome. Great stuff. All right, let's go back out to the webheads here. Vita's not a flash player. He shows flashes of brilliance.
Yes, he does.
Oh, man, he's very athletic.
By flash player, if you mean he doesn't flash in games, watch this year.
Lady Benita says hello. I guess that's what the hello thing is. Hello. Vea is going to dominate this year. Brady for touchdowns, 4 touchdowns in that game. Breeze, let's see, 1 round, 3 interceptions.
Everybody remember
touchdown, 3 interceptions.
Everybody remember the defenses have an advantage early this year.
So
keep that in mind. The score could very well be lower than what you might be thinking.
Okay, there you go. He says also, Richard says 107 rushing yards for Mr. Rojo. 35-13 over the Saints. There you go with the Bucs. JPP 2 sacks. Shaq with 1. Winfield with 1 interception.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be wow. How nice would that be to start the year like that?
Absolutely. Robert says, do you think the offense is better than the Super Bowl defense, if that makes sense? Talent-wise, yes, they are. I think they're that's a great question to tell you.
It's a great question. That really is a great question.
Was around. They had Hall of Famers. You're looking at the offense right now. You would think that Tom Brady's a Hall of Famer. Rob Gronkowski's certainly a Hall of Famer. Mike Evans has the possibility.
You have great people. But
let's
wait till we see it actually on the field. And, the Yankees always go out and get all the great free agents, but it doesn't mean they're always the best team. So
I think just as talented, maybe more so than that defense.
That defense just did it year after year after year. Let's let this game let's let this offense do it for one drive before we start comparing it. I think it's almost disrespectful to that defense.
Yeah, I think you're somewhat right, but talent-wise, pretty good.
I agree. I don't know that you can compare anything to the talent on this offense right now.
Yeah. Christopher says, if any doubt, sit Evans until healthy. Sound can only be 70 to 85 decibels. What about more 3 tight end sets? Certainly possible. Cameron Brate will lead the Bucs in touchdowns this season.
There you go.
Loves him. Blake Anthony says he is Brown, going to help the Bucs in week 1 when he has 8-game suspension. He's not, and that's why we don't talk about Antonio Brown. Exactly. You agree, says Cheap Seats Live. Going to draft and develop players to replace the players you lose with a bad GM. It makes it tough to do that. And I want to know from Bucs fans, have you changed your mind on a Jason Light and what he's done just in this offseason, but the last couple years? Is he a better GM in your eyes? According to Peter King of Pro Football Talk, he believes Jason Light will be the executive of the year. So we'll see if that transpires. Bucs don't draft a kicker. 31-17, Christopher Cole says. Touchdown, great job, Peter. Thank you, Richard. Appreciate you because he takes 2 to 3 guys up. You're exactly right. No Super Bowl winner has ever had a quarterback with a cap hit over $20 million. This year might be the first. Would bet on the Pats this year? Well, you got our answer from us. Tony says, Vegas is trying to get bets. They don't care who wins. Christopher says VH3 is going to get toasted. Of course, him playing for the Texans. So that should be interesting, a former Buccaneer. Saints have no idea how this offense will operate with Brady. They are used to a slow delivery with Winston and inaccurate passes. Fair statement. Eric says facts. So when does Andrew Luck play for the Patriots? Not this year. Dropping knowledge, says Tony. Eric said would bet on the Bengals. Who's your favorite football player?
Mr. Derek Brooks.
Derek Brooks. What a great commercial, by the way. And let's see here. Daniel Lopez says Vita had 2.5 sacks last year. He's new. That's why the more attention. Agree. Very athletic, but also a great run stop player. And I think his numbers will increase this year with him not only being healthy, but being more comfortable in this Todd Bowles' defense. So a lot of great things to look forward to with this season, as we've always talked about. So let's not let the injuries kind of downgrade that, but
there's not a lot. The thing is, I don't remember a year. It's been a long time. I just can't remember a year where when it comes to injuries, it's been this good. You got a guy who's questionable with Evans. Maybe he'll play, maybe he won't. He's day to day, but going into the season, knock on wood, there haven't been any massive major injuries. And if you think back, it was not very long ago, maybe a month ago. I remember hearing everybody saying, "Oh, we're going to see a whole lot of injuries happen because of in camp because these guys have not been able to ramp up and didn't have OTAs, didn't have all that. You're going to see a lot of injuries." And I don't really think you saw as many as you do. Definitely not on the Buccaneers. But I think league-wide, I actually think you didn't see as many injuries this year because teams were a little more conscious of that. and we're protecting their players.
And that's a good thing. You don't want to see injuries
Right.
to a lot of players because you want to have your superstars in there and you want to still keep your teams at 100%. But does it help that Von Miller is going to be out possibly for the majority of the year against that Bucs offense in the third week on the road? Absolutely. Absolutely. So are you surprised with the captains that were named? You have a Tom Brady and a Mike Evans, but a Devin White is kind of an eyebrow raiser, right?
Well, yeah, I'm not sure the story behind what happened there. I'm shocked that it's not Levante David. I don't know. Maybe there's trying to build the kid's confidence, knowing that he's becoming the quarterback of the defense. You start trying to put more responsibility in his hands, and whether or not that wasn't something that they did sort of on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you don't feel you can re-sign Levante, there's a reason to invest in his confidence. But I mean, am I surprised about it? Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Definitely surprised. But then again, he was an upcoming player that we've kind of talked about on this show ad nauseum. And I feel like the sky's the limit for this kid.
Peter, he's a badass.
Yeah, he really is.
He really is that's a special player. That's not one of those guys that you see. I mean, he's a Kuechly type of impact, change a game kind of player.
Mm-hmm.
He's a guy who you're going to see him like a missile. You're going to see a running back start, just running to the outside, and like this missile, you see Devin White shoot. I mean, he's going to cause game-winning fumbles. He's going to be a game changer of a player, and that's a special dude.
Yeah, it's a special dude, and of course Levante. So they formed that linebacking, that crop of linebackers. I mean, you have Levante, you have a Devin White.
Were there? How many defensive captains were there?
Just two: Levante David and Devin White.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was thinking there was somebody else.
Yeah, no, just the Bucs captains were named yesterday. It was Tom Brady and Mike Evans on offense, Levante David, Devin White on defense, and Bradley Pinion and Kevin Mentzer, who replaced White when White was hurt last year. And
that's where I was getting messed up with the special teams.
I feel like White would have had more of an impact like he did in that second part of the year if he were healthy the full year. But who knows? Who knows?
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, to me, it's definitely going to be interesting year. The expectations are just at full throttle. We're only 4 days, close to now 3 days away, and football tonight.
The next time I see you, we will be into football season and we'll have already started.
I'm ready to go. One of the
God.
longest off seasons out there. Let's see. Light is still the same guy who doesn't draft edge rushers and ignores vital positions until the team wins. He's a bad GM.
Can I have this?
Sure, go for it.
Tony, he doesn't draft him, but he brings in the best edge rusher in the league last year. Stop being critical when it comes to, you really think about this. He specifically brought in the best edge rusher in the league, and you're complaining about him. What are your expectations? What is going to satisfy you if you're not happy with the best in the league? I just don't know what the guy can do.
Yeah, I mean, to me, look, I get it. I understand the criticism because he's missed on first and second round picks. We talked about Vernon Hargraves and Austin Seferian-Jenkins and Charles Sims and Noah Spence. And of course, cutting up a kicker and a Matt Gay. But then again, you look at all the good he's done with trading for JPP, with getting a Shaq Barrett, with drafting a Chris Godwin in the later rounds, with getting a Mike Evans and hitting that first round pick.
The roster together. He put the roster together.
Put the roster together, and then
how you do it, do it.
Right. And then in the offseason, going out and getting a Tom Brady, and I get it, it's Bruce Arians and the ownership, but it's also Jason Light making the deal, and a Rob Gronkowski and a Leonard Fournette. So he definitely deserves credit. I get it. Some people don't like some of his moves, and he's made some bad ones. But
yes, he has.
If you feel like he's a bad GM, look back at when he got here, before he got here. Would you say this team is more talented than before he was here or after? I feel like now this team is more talented than before he got here.
How many teams would love to have their general manager put together this team?
Oh, love it.
Come on.
Truly agree, says Daniel Lopez. Saints get down 10 points or under. I like that. Get live, baby. Absolutely. When you draft the same number of kickers as edge rushers, you aren't a good GM. Since he's been here, the same positions have issues. Free agents are nice, but they are Band-Aids, not long-term fixes. Well, it's a fair point, but also when you go out and get a JPP, you trade for him, and he's still a productive player, and the only thing you gave up was a third-round pick, that's a good move. When you go out and get a Shaq Barrett from 1 year and he develops into one of the elite pass rushers in the league with a year where he has 19.5 sacks, that's a great move. So you have to give him credit. I get it. He's trying to fix the problem of kickers, and he's not doing a very good job with it. But if your only thing you're worried about at this juncture is your kicking game, with all the talent that you have on this team, I think we're in a better position, don't you?
He's worrying about edge rushers. I mean,
Well,
he keeps bringing that up, and you have the best one in the league.
Yeah, you have JPP and you have Shaq, and also I think Anthony Nelson, the 4th round pick, is going to be pretty good. So,
It's just there are certain things not to complain about, and right now, edge rusher.
It's fair. It's somewhat fair with some of the draft picks that he's made. He's had some misses, but overall, with the grand scheme of things, this is the most talented team in Tampa Bay Buccaneer history. And that's crazy to say because you look at that Super Bowl team. It's not close offensively.
No, it's not. It's not remotely close.
No,
this is by far the most talented team in Tampa history.
Yeah.
Even if you say, okay, this defense is not as good as the Super Bowl defense, we don't know.
Right.
But let's say it's not. Okay, if it's not, holy cow! Look at the offense.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, it's night and day.
Yeah, no, I agree. Levante is a captain too. He is. We mentioned that, Richard. Love this show. Great conversations. Thank you, Daniel. As a GM, you have to build a team. Free agents are great, but they aren't long-term solutions. Barrett is great, but got to see it back-to-back years. That's a fair statement. And if he is able to duplicate that, he's going to get a big-time deal. But once again, you're talking like he's an old guy around the league. He's 27, 28 years old. So, you find him for $4 million. That's pretty good. As long as Devin White, Levante David beside him, there will be no pressure on him as a captain. Eric says, Bucs best team people. Eric, again, Jason Light wins the GM of the year. And Tony says Light has done some good. Not saying he's Dominic, just not happy with his drafting. Games are won in the trenches, and his team building strategy isn't ideal. I'll say this. Noah Spence was definitely a bust. When he came on, you felt like that he was going to be a lot better than he was, and he wasn't. He got injured, so you'll never know. He hasn't necessarily done a great job with drafting trenches, but then again, a lot of people would be critical of him drafting a Vita Vea over Derwin James and not giving it the chance. And now you see a Vita Vea when you give him the opportunity to develop. So I think, look, you've got to let this team develop. But right now, the window is 2 years, win a Super Bowl or bust. And then after that, I feel like you still have a team that can be competitive. But these next 2 years are going to be critical for them to win one Super Bowl or two.
It's not fair to say he has not drafted. Look at Noah Spence or look at Vernon Hargraves. It's almost not fair because he did not get to draft his team and put together his team. He was in essence forced to work with a head coach. It was not his choice.
Right.
He starts drafting for one system, then they change to a different coach and different defensive scheme. Now all his guys that he drafted don't fit the scheme that you now have because he was forced to go with a different particular head coach.
Right.
Now he's dealing with that. Most general managers get to work with their choice of head coach. Finally, after 2 disasters, the Buccaneers gave Light the opportunity to bring in a head coach that he wanted, and it was Bruce Arians. And look at everything that's happened.
Well, I definitely think that's a fact of Bruce Arians helping him out with that because, again, we talk about the drafting, but like you said, Jason Light wasn't hired first. It was Lovie Smith that was hired, then Jason.
Right.
So it necessarily wasn't it wasn't his guy. And then on top of it, Dirk Cutter, those were also his guys. I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve some criticism. He does. But once again, going back to the main point, when Jason Light got here as a general manager, this team didn't have as much talent as they do now. And that's the point. They are on the cusp of not only making the playoffs, but we're talking about Super Bowl or bust here in Tampa Bay. Rick Hughes, go ahead and promote yourself here. We got to get out of here.
Okay, I'll do it real quick. Just you see at the bottom here where it says cheapseats.live, go there. Just go to www.cheapseats.live, not .com. And my Twitter link is there. My Facebook link is there. I love interacting with you guys. I got some questions today. I had a great conversation with one of the web heads. And so I like to hear from you guys. Please go there. Send me whatever they're called, friend requests, follows, whatever the heck you call them. And let's talk. And I'll see you on September 13th.
Yes, let's go ahead and read these comments really quick, and then we'll get back to it. 4727, Ralph says, Doug Williams, Jimmy Giles, Kevin House, Ricky Bell, give them a little love. Absolutely, but not as talented, I think, as Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, O.J. Howard, Cameron Brate, Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette.
I have as much love for them, but that's not a comparison.
2-year window is right. Fair point. With changing coaches and systems, I only give Light a hard time for his picks. Once loser, Lovey was canned.
Yeah, that's fair.
I feel like our defense is getting slept on because of Brady, but this is the defense second year together. For most part, it's going to be a very surprising year.
Very well.
Great show as always. Rick Hughes, thanks a lot for coming on the Evolution.
Thanks for having me, Peter.
All right.
Yeah, you have a great night.
All right, there you go. So we will get out of here on your 3-hour extravaganza of a sports talk show. Thanks to Ricky Reynolds, former Bucs great, legend, in my opinion, TJ Pittenger of the Big Three Roll-Up, Blake Ruffino of Are You Serious Sports, and of course, Rick Hughes from the Cheap Seats. We will be back on Friday night, just days away from Bucs versus Saints. But guys, enjoy the football tonight. Yes, tonight at 8 o'clock, it will be the world champion Kansas City Chiefs versus the Houston Texans early on this Thursday morning. Do 3 things for me and write them down. You ready? Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, and I'll see you on Friday night on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Have a great night. You're now in the Sports Web, a sports talk show for the hardcore fan. Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense.
No one cares what you've done in the past. They don't care what you did last year or 5 years ago. You know, they hired me to do a job here, and I'm going to go in there and do it like you've always seen me do for a long time.
We're going to have our ass ready to go to New Orleans. They're allowed to pump in noise now this year. So you know what that's going to be like in New Orleans. Just like as they had their fans. Is the guy in the mirror doing what it takes? Loyalty. Faithful adherence to a cause. It's the cause. And the world championship. Honest to God, I looked out to today. I've been in this league 27 years. I've never seen so much talent on the field.
A pirate's life.